What's up, everybody? You're listening to Supercar Stories, the fast business podcast. We're sitting here with the Precision Racing team. We've got Joe and Aaron on the couch here. How are you, lads?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Nice to have you. We've got Higgsy here.
Afternoon.
And Andy Beckett on the end there. And my name's Ian. And today we're going to talk about this beautiful green Huracan that's in the back that has some serious kit under the hood.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool car.
Yeah.
I guess I'll start with introing the car. So this is actually my original car. Arrived in late 2018. It's a Performante, if you can't see it already. And it was purchased for the sole purpose of R&D to develop our twin turbo packages and have Motec develop the ECU kit. So the car, on arrival, I had it for about 4 weeks and I went down to Motec. They'd done all their development. It took about 3 months. And then we spent the next 9 months setting up and I guess making the thing work like OE, replicating the factory, the
Drivability and characteristics.
Everything, yeah, I think that was most important part of the job. We didn't want to, obviously when you got the ECU running and the car's running, the first thing you want to do is put turbos on it. So we sort of went away from that. We're like, no, we need to make this thing run like OE. And then once we've got that down pat, then we'll start modifying.
So that's all like mapping, gearbox mapping, like all of that.
Look, the trans mapping wasn't done because we wanted to make it work like OE. So that way you could drop in an ECU kit and it would run like factory.
Yep.
But it's more talking to the TCU and making sure the TCU is happy with the information it's getting from the ECU.
Yep.
So that it runs like OE. Once we had that down pat and started modifying the car, that's when we started developing TCU files and stuff like that, which Joe's in control of now. So.
Yeah, sick. And I guess for the viewers watching, it's twin turbo, 1100 horsepower or 1050.
This one?
Yeah.
No, this one's close to 1500.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
This isn't the stage one.
No, stage 3 car.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's had some more fruit thrown at it.
Yeah. So we start off small, stock engine, stock trans. We work out the weak links. And like I said, this is 5 years now.
Yep.
So we've got packages up to a stage 4 with 2000 horsepower. So and this thing's stage 3. So
and do they look similar, like under the hood?
Identical parts.
Identical.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Because for the viewers, it looks factory. Like
Unless we'll probably drop some B-roll over.
Yeah, unless you've seen a factory one, you would not know that that's got 1500 horsepower.
100%.
Which is unbelievable, and that's hats off to you boys to get it to that, because it's easy to slap together a water cooled. Water to air intercooler and and an intake manifold and make it work. But to make it look like that,
I think that's the difference. And that's what we spent. There was 9 months in development just in drawings and then 3D printing to make sure that, things fit before getting all the parts casted and everything's made in Australia as well.
Yeah, wow.
Did you guys do all the CAD drawings?
CAD drawing was done by a friend of ours. I do CAD drawing for small parts.
Yeah.
But that was pretty full on 3D modeling.
Yeah.
Is that for the inlet?
This is for the
intercoolers.
Yeah, the intercooler end tanks and whatnot.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I did start on it and I was like, you know what, this is going to take way too much of my time.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a pro to do it. And I've got a close friend that does it. So we got him to do it and, we probably spent, like I said, 9 months on that design.
Solid, yeah. It was a long time.
Yeah.
And then there was tooling made for, that was all CNC machined for the casting company in Melbourne to then pour aluminium and cast them, and it goes back to the machine shop that made the tooling, and then they final finish machine. So each part, once it's casted, is machined because the blow-off valve, flanges and whatnot aren't welded onto the tanks traditional. It's all machined into it.
Yeah. So that's the difference.
Yeah.
So
we look at it and go, massive investment. Like the tooling was 20 grand.
I was going to say, the investment you guys have put into it, like the ROI, you would have had to pump a few kits out to break even,
100%. And we knew that was going to be a thing anyway. So initially we thought, we'll do maybe 2 or 3 a year. It'll compound, the next year might be 5, 6, maybe 7 the next year if you're lucky. And I think that, I don't know how many.
I think it's up to around 25, 26.
Yeah, wow.
And we've really only been doing them on other people's cars from maybe 2020 was the first kit on a customer car.
Yeah, wow.
So you've done 25 kits in 3 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
including shipping some internationally.
I was going to say, so you guys
yeah.
package it all up and send it to UAE,
yeah,
presumably,
overseas, Europe.
Yep.
So we've built the kit in a way that it's all jigged up. There's also some slight differences between the models in terms of Perf, Huracan, STO, R8. So we've had to make multiple jigs, which is all labelled and everything's done properly. So if someone orders a kit, we can completely fabricate everything, including all lines, fittings. We made jigs to make sure the lines were clocked correctly and everything.
So they're all like press fits, like
so
all crimped.
Wow.
BMRS hose and fitting.
Nice.
One thing we were chatting about before that really like struck me, and I guess for the viewers, like we'll give them a rundown on precision racing. So you guys specialize in exotic performance modifications and tuning. That pretty much sums it up, eh?
Not just exotic.
We do. We do.
We've got the website up there now.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, we got the website up there for the viewers.
So it's not only the exotic stuff. We do specialize in certain models. That's where we feel like we give the customer the best experience. When you specialize in something and you know it to a T, that's all we do. So we do get calls from customers that I guess are asking if we do services on certain models that are a little bit left field, and we can only give them the truth, and that is that it's not something we do every day. We've spent how many years now on this platform, the V10 platform or the R35 platform.
So that's another big one for you.
Yeah, massive. And that was pre V10, right?
Yeah, sure.
And then pre that was Evo. So we've sort of stepped it up over the years. And
so you're proper car guys though.
100%. Every car, every model that we specialize in, we bought and spent years on R&D before giving anything to the customer.
Yeah, wow.
Not one model did we get and do development on when it was a customer car.
A lot of companies do that. There's a new car, let's go buy it and make it fast. That's cool.
I think it's the only way to do it properly. I believe that even if a customer came to us and said, hey, I've got 12 months to spend on the car, you have it, do the R&D, and let's just say it's a mate. And we get a pretty good product at the end of the day. We give it to him. He's not going to drive it as much as what I would if it was our car for 2 years. So there's things that he won't even pick up on in 2 years, where we would if I was driving it like it was our car. So I think owning the car and wanting to do the development on it and testing is the only way to do it properly. And then once you get over that, I ended up selling this car to now a new customer end of last year. So what's that? Sort of nearly 5 years of owning it, and that's enough, and it allows us to go to the next platform or whatever it may be.
And that's probably why, like when we were talking outside earlier, the guys were telling me that on the current twin turbo kit on the Perf, there's not a single hole drilled in the in the
it's
vehicle.
not intrusive, so we don't cut, drill, modify anything OE. And if for some reason you want to pull the kit off, I don't know anybody who would, but if you want to, it'll all go back to factory plug and play.
Yeah, and that's probably due to like owning the car for so long and putting so much time into R&D first.
Yeah, I think look, it's natural. All our guys at the shop are all very, very experienced tradesmen, excellent, right? And I think it's the mindset of going into it going, hey, we don't cut shit. We don't ruin cars. Okay? It's not a VL turbo. You know what I mean? So and traditionally that's what they
I got a VL turbo. No, I don't actually.
I'm not against them. I just know that they've all been cut.
They've all had a hole saw banged in them at some point.
Yeah. You're a drifter, right?
Yeah. That's the first thing. 90 mil hole saw.
So we don't do that stuff. There's no need to do it. We see other packages or other cars, and even in Australia, that they've imported kits because they thought it was cheaper. It's not cheaper.
No.
And they're running hoses front to back of the car. They're putting in their front compartment, which you can barely fit a suitcase.
Water, air coolers, and
they're putting a water tank in there with hoses, with bulkhead fittings running through like the trunk, what they call the trunk. Drilling holes, and then you see that they've had coolant, like water leaks. And
there's coolant stains in the front end. You're like,
it smells like a wet VL.
It's terrible.
Brother.
So it's just
it's not the right thing to do to a car of that caliber.
No way.
It deserves more. Yeah.
But
we look at all the cars that we do in that same way. Like the R35s are very similar.
Yeah.
Actually, same sort of deal. We don't cut.
Yeah,
It's
a rule.
Level.
Yeah, it's a rule, right?
Yeah.
We can insert, as far as we go, is inserting nutserts into already holes that are already there.
Yeah.
So we'll install a nutsert, not tap it. You put a nutsert in there, and then now we can use that as a mounting point.
Yeah.
And then if it has to go back to factory, that nutsert can stay.
Yeah. They're not going to.
It was only there because of some other reason.
Yeah.
Whether that be when it went through its anti-corrosion and it was like a drain or something like that.
Yeah.
The holes are in places where you think, well, why is that there?
Yeah.
But it suits us in certain
places. You make it work.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things that we looked at. We also didn't, when we're doing the R&D on this, we didn't look at another kit first. Apart from, maybe photos online.
Yep.
But we never had a car where we're like, oh, let's see what they've done, which I think is good because it means you're using your brain.
Yep.
You're not getting any bad ideas and then running with the same idea.
Yeah. Trying to improve someone else's shit before you've started.
Yeah, I reckon that's a really bad idea.
Yeah.
I think it's better off doing it the way we do things. And then you look at the way they've done it and like, why would you do it like that? Why would you run hose to the front? Why would you run air to radiators or heat exchangers to cool intercooler water with ambient temperature?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It works well for engine coolant because the differential between ambient temp and engine coolant is quite a big difference, correct?
Yeah.
But when you're trying to cool water that's heated up by your boost pressure with ambient temp and it's on a 40-degree day, it's absolutely useless. Yeah. So
what do you guys do in that scenario?
Yeah, so we've got all of our kits come standard with an inner chiller, right? So the AC system, cools the water. So
very cool.
Yeah, if this car just sits there and idle for 5 minutes, you'll touch the intercooler, or you would see condensation on the intercooler.
No shit.
Cold to touch.
So that's cool. So with that, obviously you're running an air compressor, when you're revving the guts out of it, does it flick off at certain RPM so you don't damage it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
same as OE.
Yeah, all OE. So we don't turn the compressor on any earlier or later or whatever.
Just does its thing.
Yeah, it just does its thing. The whole point of it is having enough water storage, which these hold about 7 litres total.
Yep.
And we say water, but it's coolant.
Yep.
So it's antifreeze because we can get that coolant down to about 0 degrees.
No shit.
Yeah, with the inner chiller.
Wow. So
that's why Chris said when he goes for a Sunday drive, he turns the aircon on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have to.
So I'm a mechanic. I sort of understand what you're doing. How have you done that? So have you just tapped into the cold side of the AC line, run it through a core, and then spit it back out to the car?
Essentially.
In a roundabout way.
In a roundabout way.
Yeah.
We don't need to get into it.
So it's again non-intrusive. So we've made billet bracketry, billet adapters.
Yep.
That is fucking. That's
smart. So it's all billet adapters that
Yep.
bolt into the factory points.
Yep.
None of the. I mean, you probably know OE cars sort of make their own flanges.
Yeah.
Not especially European stuff.
You can't say flange around him. He's a child.
Especially European flanges, right?
Yeah. European flanges.
That's where I straight went straight away.
I haven't mentioned the moisture on the intercoolers.
Have a drink of water, Higgsy. Calm down a bit.
Is it hot in here? Or
Oh, you're definitely getting red. We can talk about that
There's
later.
got to be a story there, yeah.
So, we get all our billet adapter flanges made up. So it's essentially a bolt-in kit, and we sell the inner chiller kits for the V10 platform worldwide.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And a lot.
Yeah, there's people that purchase them to add to their existing kits.
It's probably our most moving part.
I was going to say
export.
That's pretty I've not seen another kit with that.
Yeah.
So
all these people are adding I think we sell them online. They're like $5,000.
Yeah, right.
Aussie.
Yep.
And our kits come with them standard. Everyone that thinks that they're getting a kit cheaper, I think they have American kits and whatnot, they're about 50, 55 Aussie, roughly, but no fuel system. And I won't go too far into it, but wiring side of it's terrible. It's all just, do it yourself, relays and
oh, really?
Yeah, like a hardwire kit you might get for an Evo.
Yep. Yeah, right.
Something like that. It's just wiring with fuses and relays. whereas all of ours run off a PDM with a Motorsport harness, plug and play.
Yep.
So the PDM we preload with a file that controls everything. The intercooler water pump, the inner chiller has like a solenoid valve which can turn off and on for the cabin. So if you want, let's just say it's a drag car, ideally you should turn off the cabin to stop the water condenser drain.
Yep.
Right, because if you're at the drag strip, they might say, "Oh, no, your car's leaking."
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not really that dangerous, but they'll say something, right?
Yeah, they don't like.
Yeah, they don't like water dropping. So there's a valve there that it controls. Another thing with our kit is that we have an oil scavenge pump, right, for the oil drain of the turbos, whereas every other kit just runs back. They tap it back into the bottom of the engine.
Yeah.
And
are they dry sump?
They are dry sump
but
factory.
they wouldn't pull a vacuum.
They're not in the suction side. Of the
correct.
pump.
Oh, really?
They just go into like the drain, the oil drain.
Yeah, so just gravity.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't really get into the suction side of the pump.
Yep.
Without being intrusive.
Yeah.
Drilling and tapping, welding.
Yeah.
So it's ugly. For us, we've got billet adapters that bolt to the bottom of the sump, like where a drain plug would be.
Yep.
And then we just got a line that goes to a scavenge pump.
Yep.
And PDM supplies power to that. It's all off timers. So
Jesus.
So when the fuel pump is triggered, when you turn the ignition on, it turns on straight away. So essentially that's before the car started.
Yep.
So you got the pump running, and it runs for about 8 seconds after you shut it off, the oil pump.
Yeah, just to clear the lines.
Just to keep that line dry, yeah. So there's a lot of
you guys have thought of fucking everything.
Man, and I could go on for hours and hours and hours when it comes to the R&D side of it. But that's just to prevent smoke, things like that. And people think we've done it without the oil pump. It's fine. Until you're going up maybe like a 10-level car park and there's ramps like this.
Yep.
Or you're on a tilt tray and the guy sits it like that on idle for 60 seconds because he's running around the truck.
Yeah, you got to build up. And
you got to build up on that, on the oil drain system.
Yep.
It was never turbocharged factory. All these factory turbocharged engines, R35 GT-R, Porsche, they're all tapped into the suction of the oil pump, whether they're dry sumped or not.
Yep.
Like an R35 is not dry sumped.
Yep.
It's got an internal oil pump, but where they lead the drain back into the engine, it taps into the suction side of the oil pump. So it creates a big vacuum.
Yeah. Most people that turbo a non-turbo motor just drill into the sump and that'll do.
Yeah.
Oil's got to go there.
Yeah.
Just tapered thread in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, I guess, fine if you've got good gravity and good drain and whatnot.
Yeah.
But in this case, you're plumbing in. You're actually plumbing into the bottom of the engine.
Yep.
So it needs to go up before it can come out.
Yep.
It's not going to happen.
No.
The lowest point is the hose.
Yeah.
So it's always full of oil.
Yep.
So that's a problem.
So with like some of the hardware that you've picked for the car, like for your kits, like you use precision turbos. Why precision over Garrett or Borg Warner, something like that? Have you tested different brands?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
I'm talking too much. So.
No.
Do you want me to keep
there was no real direct reason for them. I mean, we use most turbo brands and have experience with all of them. The 6466, they have always been a good performing turbo.
Yep.
For the size, super responsive and makes power.
Yep.
Which is something that we wanted from the car, obviously.
Yep.
We have put Garrett's on other versions, and you know what, it does feel the same. You probably wouldn't notice the difference, and they make the same sort of power.
Yep.
Another benefit of the Precisions is they don't run water, so we don't have to run water cool into them, where the Garrett's do. And it's sort of frowned upon to not run water to them if they've got water jackets on them.
Yeah.
I guess, and then all the jigs and mounting has been to suit these turbos, so we don't have any plans of changing them.
Yep.
The big boy, so the Stage 4, which is the 2,000 horsepower setup, runs the Precision 76, 75s. Again, awesome performing turbo. For the size, they're responsive.
Yep.
And reliable. We haven't really had issues over the years.
Yeah.
So
a lot of drag racing guys use precision.
Yeah.
I've had experience playing with like the big Garretts, and as soon as we put the Pro Mod 98mm, it was just way more reliable.
Yep.
A little bit of smoke on startup, which
smoking's probably their downside.
That's the only downside.
Compared to Garrett.
Yeah.
And that's where the scavenge pump definitely started to come into play with us.
Yep.
We did start off with the Garrett stuff, as Joe mentioned. The water thing was an additional job.
Yep.
Essentially. So that we obviously don't have to worry about that now. The other problem was we were using GDX 3582 Gen 2s. And they stopped producing those, right? Because they're going over the G series, the G35.
Yep.
Now, whilst we could still get them for a while, because we actually have we use a reverse rotation on one side so that everything looks symmetrical.
Yep.
That's all just aesthetics, right? A lot of the other kits are just get two of the same turbo and one's facing one way, one's the other. We just don't aesthetically find that pleasing.
Yeah, you got OCD like me.
100%.
It's got to look right.
It's got to look. It's got to look symmetrical.
Yep.
And the first thing to take a hit when they sort of wanted to change over to the G series was the reverse rotation turbo.
Right.
So we were getting, we had jobs booked in and we couldn't get the reverse rotation turbo.
Yeah.
But they had G series.
Yeah.
So then we ended up on one kit, had to go to the G35.
Yep.
And there's no bolts for the compressor cover. So all our mounting system went out the window, and that was a difficult thing.
Yep.
And this was all about at the same time as doing the designing for the intercooler castings.
Yep.
And we're like, you know what? We're gonna make the switch. I'm not gonna deal with the whole process, and then it changes again.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of time, a lot of money invested in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Did you speak to Precision before going that route?
No.
Just bought them.
We know how long the turbo's been out for.
Yeah.
I can't see it. It's not going to stop.
No.
All they do is they leave that there, and then they change wheel sizes and make a new model in the same housing.
Yeah.
Which is perfect for what we want. Because it's like potentially in time, there'll be a different wheel size that'll go straight in.
Yep. Just a different core, or even just
correct.
Slot it in.
Yeah, or different. Maybe comp cover and the same rehousing or whatever it may be. So that's there was a few things that sort of made up that decision. But because of everything how it fits, everything has to have been planned properly and obviously suit the future due to the cost in tooling and whatnot.
Yep.
It's worth noting that the whole kit, including the intercoolers, was also made to suit the larger frame 76mm turbos as well.
Yep.
So the same brackets that hold the turbos are multi-slotted.
Yep.
So you can literally pull the turbo off. The only thing you're changing is the turbo itself and the exhaust.
Yep.
Because the outlets are because the turbo's longer and a bigger outlet, the exhaust has to change.
Yep.
Intercoolers are fine.
Yeah, awesome.
Not that much of an exhaust anyway, really.
Yeah, it's not.
When you speak of it.
2 feet.
It's not. But hey, you know what? A lot of people say that, and then they look at the cost and like, how come that costs this much?
15 grand for this.
Yeah, for 2 feet of titanium.
Oh, we don't charge 15 grand. We do it cheap for 10. So, but the thing is how much time it takes to do it, especially with the turbo ones. Aspirated is not so bad, but turbocharger, you got the wastegate pipes that got to plumb into it as well.
Yeah. I want to touch on the wastegate. Have you guys gone over to the electric wastegate with TurboSmart or anything yet?
I have had a small amount of, I guess, experience, and it was on a circuit car. It ended up changing back.
Really?
Yeah. That doesn't mean that the product doesn't work.
Yep.
It just means I wasn't ready to keep spending
time
on
it. It's a big change, yeah.
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 And the car didn't need it.
Yeah, it wasn't required.
Yeah. It was, the owner wanted, like, the new stuff.
Yep.
I think that it has a place in the market, and until I'm forced to go, okay, we actually do need this.
Yeah.
I think for the guys using CO2 and stuff like that, use electric.
Yeah.
Yeah. And spend the time on it.
Yeah.
Get it to work.
Yeah, to drag cars and stuff like that. Yeah.
Because it just makes things less maintenance, easier to
consistent.
use.
Yeah. We were playing with CO2 and it was every run was doing something different.
Yeah.
You know, bottle pressure change, and also we've got another 5 pounder boost in it.
Yep.
Yeah. It was all over the shop. So it's got its place, like you said. But I was
100%.
just wondering whether it's actually getting, this is a top tier kit, like whether it's starting to filter down. But
for this, you don't need it.
Not required.
Yeah. Like, to be honest, with this and the R35, because the whole thing's torque modeled, I use boost pressure as a source of horsepower stored, right? So I can have 25 pounds of boost, enough to make 1,500 horsepower, and have the throttle at 15% and make 800
Newton meters. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, wow.
Yeah. So
You set your torque limit, or per gear or per whatever.
Yep.
Even when it goes over to 98, you can just set a torque limit.
and it measures that based on inlet manifold pressure.
Yep.
Boost pressure, so pre-throttle.
Yep.
Right. So then it works out the calculation difference, and it knows where to put the throttle to achieve the desired torque.
Yeah, wow.
Right. So that's where boost pressure doesn't matter. If I had 30 pounds, less throttle position.
Yep.
If I have 10 pounds, open it up because I need it.
Yeah, sure.
So you can see how boost in these cars is like a capacitor of horsepower.
Yep.
And then just use a throttle to control it.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
No wonder these bloody things are so quick now.
Yeah, quick and usable, like anyone that has driven them would be like, oh, geez, like it. Yeah, I can feel that it hasn't got all the power in the early gears, but I feel like I don't think it can take it.
Yeah.
Because it's already dumb.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it just, and that's why it's so repeatable.
Yep.
You know? Because if boost is a little bit different, the throttle position will be there to suit it.
Yeah. So that it probably make, like when you were talking before, you were mentioning like the earlier kits like Stage 1 and Stage 1X.
Yeah, the baby ones.
Yeah, run the standard clutches, and so that's why, because you can limit the torque on gear change.
Yep.
So you're not punching the clutch every time you pull a gear. It's not copping all the torque straight away.
To be honest, it's not really the clutch. The gear torque limits aren't really to protect the clutch. It's more the gear set.
Yeah, right.
The actual gears themselves.
Yeah.
It still does have torque reductions for gear shifts and everything like that, but this is separate to that.
Yeah. So the weak point is the gear set rather than the clutch.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. No, the clutch has a torque limit. Obviously, it slips at a certain amount of torque.
Yep.
And that's an overall torque limit, not per gear.
Yep.
So I'd be like, okay, so the maximum amount of horsepower or torque, I'm going to allow this car to see. Let's just say I put down a number of 1150.
Yep.
That will be an overall torque limit. So no matter what gear it's in, it can't go above that.
Yep.
And then you'll have your gear torque limit. So like third gear, I'm going to have all in.
Yep.
Right, because I know that won't break until 2 years of use with 1450.
Sure.
Right. So, but second gear will break at 900.
Yeah.
And could break in a day if I wanted to try it.
Yep.
So we limit that down.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's where you get the reliability out of the kits.
Yep.
Yeah, and safety on our part, because we look at it and go, once we do the kit, we own the car.
Yeah. Because you warrant your work too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're essentially
years,
married to it. Yeah.
2 year warranty.
Yeah. So it's like we're building our own car again. Right?
You stressed about that?
So,
Yeah.
Do you stress about
No,
having 2
because
year
we-
warranties
we-
out there everywhere?
No, because we do this.
Yeah.
Right? And we do have genuine customers that, or some genuine, we can't control everyone.
Yeah.
Like we've had one guy who's like at a race event, he comes up and he goes, I stuffed up. And I'm like, what happened? His car's getting towed back in. And mind you, this is a car that was done 3 years ago, nearly 4 years ago. It was a while ago. And so it's out of warranty anyway. But he said, I stuffed up. I took off in first gear. The rule is if it's got a stock gear set in roll racing, is take off in second gear, you roll on.
Yep.
It can brake on the shift, second gear. So that's a rule.
Yep.
Even though we've got torque limits in place. The reason for that is because the torque limit is reactive. It's not proactive.
Yep.
It needs to see the torque, then reduce it.
And where is it getting the torque figure from? Is it just manifold pressure?
Yep, calculated. As I said before.
So it's too late. After it's already seen,
Correct.
it's too late.
And when I say too late, like it could be 150, 200 milliseconds before it starts to reduce torque.
Yeah.
But it breaks on the shift like a rattle gun would break a bolt.
Yeah. Shock loading is
Yeah,
the killer.
correct.
Yeah. And wheel spin. So
Yeah.
if they wheel spin from first to second and then it's again shock loading.
Bang.
Yeah, like an axle tramp.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So
And
yeah,
what
that's only
he took off in first and
They
snapped
took
it.
he goes, oh, I was racing a fast car, and I was like, I thought I'd take my chance. And he goes, if it worked, I was never going to do it again. And, you know.
Sure thing.
And if it didn't work, he was never going to do it again.
Yeah. Look, and that guy's great. He actually ended up selling that car after fixing it and whatnot. And he's got a green Performante as well.
Yep.
That's Race Past Melbourne. I don't know if you know that, the RPM car.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that on the Gold Coast at the moment?
Melbourne.
Melbourne. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just been on Snapchat and what do you call it?
TikTok.
Yeah, that's the one we're watching the reel of. I think I said to you
Yeah.
earlier.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
He comes up,
similar.
rear bar delete, and he comes up to the red light, and like there's a crowd of people egging him on.
that
That was probably in
last
Melbourne.
weekend.
Yeah, it was. It was in
Yeah, it was
Melbourn.
recent. Yeah.
I think he had a car show or something there.
Yeah.
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 He took the rear bar off for the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, that car's awesome as
cool.
well. It's essentially exactly
Same as
the
that,
same as
different
this.
wheels.
Yeah.
The only thing is, the wheels, and he actually wants those same
I like
wheels.
those wheels because they look very
OE-ish?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like when you look at like welds, slicks and all that kind of stuff, they look
Yeah,
a little bit different.
You know when I've owned the car
yeah.
because it's done right.
Done
You know what I
right.
mean?
So they're a centerpiece.
Center lock, yeah.
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 Yeah, but like the actual design, like the spokes,
Yeah.
like that's like an individual selection that you've made on those ones as
Yeah,
well.
look,
or-
I chose those wheels because I like they looked somewhat like an OE style
yeah.
wheel, and then they were modified to suit beadlock. So they're not a beadlock, like a wheel manufacturer that made beadlock wheels.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh
Right.
wow.
What other specs on that? Is they look like 12-inch, 13-inch wide or something?
Yeah, they're 12 on the rear, Front, I think, is only like 8.5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're quite small.
Yep.
And 18s all around.
Yep. And Mickey's.
Yeah, Mickey Thompson's and Nankang on the front, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it still chalks
Federal tyres on the front.
yeah, we can.
Yeah, you can make it chalk. Yeah.
Yeah, we can make them belt tyres, but you know that you're not going to go anywhere fast.
Yeah. So you, sorry, Andy, you go.
I was just going to ask, can you make it rear-wheel drive electronically?
We can. On this car, we haven't set up all the front drive control with the Motec.
Yep.
We can do it. We have done it.
Did you bring your laptop?
What's that?
Can you bring your laptop?
We'll get some B-roll in this cul-de-sac.
It does require some wiring.
Yeah, sure.
So basically, you unplug the all drive control module in the front trunk area.
Yep.
And you wire directly from the ECU to that connector, and then you've got to set it up in the ECU to control that front diff. And still put messages on CAN so that it thinks that the module's still plugged in.
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've done
one of those delete.
So it's not like an R32 where you
you
can flick a switch and boom. Yeah.
It's typically activated by the hazard switch.
If you've got there's other modules you can buy on the market, and when you do the hazard lights, it puts it into rear wheel drive.
Really?
But,
That's crazy.
yeah, the Motec
Perfect for drivers like him.
Yeah.
Like hazard. What are you doing? Fucking hazard.
Yeah.
You need the beacon. Higgsy needs the beacon.
Hazards and leave it all drive.
Yeah.
So
Traction
I
on.
got something for you though.
Yep.
Everyone's familiar with the name Gintani or
Yep.
Gintani, however you pronounce it, and he's famous for his flame tunes and all that kind of stuff. Is that something that you guys can do, or
Look,
Can do it, hate it.
against
Yeah.
it, and I bet you that if you talk to that guy directly, or
He's probably over it.
and Alex like Sheepy and whoever is in the leaders of the markets. And we sort of look up to the US guys because they've got the market in terms of quantity of people. You know,
Not
like
the volume, but I honestly I think the quality of your kit's way up there, if not better.
I believe so, without being biased.
Yeah.
But
was the
that's
goal, yeah.
that is
Seriously, like we were at
Yep.
SEMA last year checking out all the different kits, and honestly, like nothing to the standard
Yeah.
of that. So
Yeah.
don't think that you're below the boys in the
Yeah.
US. They may
Yeah.
have the volume of sales, but
I question. I'm like, if we had this many people buying a product, I'll make it even better than that.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I could.
Yeah.
I still never look at it and go, oh, that's sort of over investing. You know, we don't want to go too far because we're not going to push them as much. I still went in knowing I want to make the best product I could.
Yeah.
But I just believe that how can you still offer something that looks like that when you've got, you know, you're doing 50 a year or 60, or whatever it is a year, when we'd be happy to do one a month.
Yeah. Yep.
And still spending that much time and money and making it perfect.
Mm.
So anyway, it's crazy, but I think because they're lucky to have that work come in regardless of what quality they offer.
Yeah.
So why they push to make it perfect?
Yeah.
Where we've got to be like, okay, how do we get some of their market?
Yeah.
And not Aussies love to buy from the US.
Yep.
Especially if they're scrolling on a Saturday night.
Yep.
Click buy it now.
Especially in auto.
DDE
in
said to buy
automotive
it.
stuff, it's like US is the top market leader.
And like I was saying to Joe the other day, I was like, Joe's like, oh, Mad, send them our link, you know, the Aussies here, instead of buying it from the US.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but I feel like they also want to see the tracking of it coming over the water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, and then they also have zero support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned before this podcast, I was like, when it comes to supporting other people's products, because it does come here, it gets fitted at the shop 6 months later or 9 months later when they still haven't got it right and the support is lacking and then starting to learn, shit, I made a mistake.
Yep.
I've got a $500,000 car. Ended up spending the same, if not more, by the time it was fitted, and having to deal with, you know, international time zone differences and them having 10 things at the same time and not really giving a shit about you.
Yeah. You're one of 60 customers for the year.
That's it. They've just dispatced it. And I thought, you know
100%.
what, it's on the other side of the planet. It's
And
not really
with
a big
what
problem.
warranty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like-
what are you gonna put the car on a boat over there to get fixed?
No, there's zero warranty on the car. If they have an issue with maybe one of the parts that they've supplied or whatever, they'll be like, okay, yeah, rip it off, pay your mechanic to rip it off and send it to us and we'll get the manufacturer of that part to replace it and then send it back. So your car's off the road for a month.
Yeah.
But let's face it, when it comes to warranty, the parts that we've fitted on it, you know, as part of our kit, 99.9% aren't going to fail. It's the actual car itself, because it was never designed to make 1150, 1400, whatever horsepower.
Yeah.
That's the part that we're warranting.
Yeah.
The other stuff is obvious we're going to cover that.
Yeah.
But the chances of that failing is very, very little.
Yeah.
The R&D and how many wastegates go on cars a day, right? So that's down pat.
Yeah.
If you have an issue there, it's it's low risk, that side of it. What gives the customer, I guess, trust is the fact that we're warranting the car, the driveline. You know, and they question it 3-4 times. They're like, okay, so hang on. So if I break the engine, it's covered. Yes, yes. Okay.
That's actually like fucking crazy.
It's not normal.
That's so good.
And that's how we separate.
That's just the confidence, though, in your ability.
It's the trust and the confidence because we've done it.
Yeah.
How did you go entering such a high ticket price market as a new business? Like, how did you get that first customer and then the second one to like build social proof that like we know our shit and we can deliver on what
he was the first customer.
Well, that's the benefit of Aaron purchasing the car and doing all the R&D on that.
Yeah, and having history though, so it wasn't like, oh, let's open a business and start doing the V10 market.
Yeah.
Although I still think that you could probably do it, you haven't got history in the scene. We're already doing R35s at massive levels. You know, like we've got the fastest in Australia. You know, we've gone 7s in drag racing in full street cars, no cage, nothing, like E85.
Crazy.
Street cars.
Wow.
That drive, I'm not going to say like OE because people look at that wrong, but if you jumped in it, you'd be like, this drives like factory.
Yeah. You let your missus have a drive of it.
They can drive it fine.
Yeah.
They drive it interstate. And this is a car that runs 7s that makes over 1,600.
Mental.
On flex fuel, you know? And no shit, like you can pop the bonnet and look at it and go, it looks nice and fancy, but it looks OE.
Yeah.
Still, it's the same
caliber.
Same caliber, 100%. And cookie cutter. So if it's done in the last sort of 4 or 5 years, you can look at 3 different cars and go, the thing I don't like about it is they all look the same.
Yeah.
But that's what we love about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like when you buy an OE car, they don't look different.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So you can tell when it's our car.
Yeah.
It's not, and we got a lot of people that sell cars on car sales and like, oh, by precision rate. We get dealers that ring up. Hey, there's an R35 here. So they say a plate, which sounds like every other plate, like Godzilla or something like that. And it's for sale and it's got these modifications and it's tuned by you. And I'm like I don't know enough. Send me some photos.
Yeah.
Because I'll be able to tell if it's ours for a start.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we didn't tune it.
Yeah.
You know? With those cars, we're happy to tune, you know, if it's a baby package, we're happy to tune it even if we didn't do the mods.
Yeah.
With the V10 stuff, it's like if we're fixing your problems, we're probably going to tell you rip the whole package off and put our kit on it because we don't want to keep coming back and forward with issues.
Yeah.
And we'll show you the reason as to why.
Yep.
And that's just a walk around, showing them their melted wiring with their loose relays hanging around. And
Plus, like the way it looks, like a lot of people think like, oh, it's under the bonnet, it's performance gear, like the way it looks doesn't matter. But like for me, like just looking at the kit that you've installed on that thing, like it gives me that like luxury brand kind of vibe of like it's refined, it's finished well, it's polished, it's all like it all looks like the watch, like a Rollie or
finished.
the Lamborghini or BMW. It's refined, it's done.
And that's the kind of client that has that car doesn't want shit.
Yeah.
They probably have another car that's got shit on it.
Yeah.
And that guy will probably be okay with it because he thinks that's normal. But when he has that, he then wants you to do the shit cut and make it good. Right? Because it's like, fuck, you can actually do it properly. And there's not much to do it properly apart from a little bit more time. And sometimes it takes the same time to do it properly as what it does. Yeah. Terrible.
Something else I'd probably note is we let them choose the colours of the intake manifold, the intercoolers.
Oh, really?
Carbon insert choice.
Yeah, that's cool. Exhaust, whether it's stainless or titanium or what colour titanium you want it. Yeah, we do that.
Wow. That's so sick. That's like that has Lamborghini vibes too, eh?
Yeah.
Like, real full customization, yeah.
Which that's all even on our website. So we've got a configurator on our website for you to pick it.
So you can build you can
build your car. Yeah,
that's so cool.
That's dangerous. Do you have Amex? Do you take Amex?
Of course.
Yeah, that's not good.
Even Apple Pay.
That's dangerous.
Make it real easy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
So, like, if I was to order a kit tonight, like, what is the turnaround time after I've delivered the
go?
You know, like how quick is it?
Yeah. So if you were to book in, I mean, because you're in Australia, you're probably not going to order a kit online.
No.
And to be honest, the drive-in, drive-out package is not a kit that we're going to box up and send to you, and then you send the car in. That's just ridiculous. So you would contact us, and then we'd be like, yeah, okay, we need sort of 3 weeks before you bring you in.
Yep.
But within that 3 weeks, that allows us not only time to ensure that your stuff is ready to bolt on, but it's to get rid of the jobs that we've already got, leading up to that, right? So obviously we've got time where we're already busy, no different if you want to book a haircut.
Yep.
And your car will come in, but in that time, we'd make sure that everything's ready to go on. And then I'd say if it's a stage 1+, we're doing them in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Well,
so 10 days.
The first part's different to a lot of workshops. Most are like, oh, yeah, bring it in. And it sits in the corner for 3 months.
Weeks.
Yeah.
We can't have that.
Yeah.
The guys are driving it home.
Yeah.
There's multiple reasons why that can't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not only insurance reasons for us and liability reasons.
Yeah, absolutely.
But and having to drive the car in and out.
Well, the workshop space is expensive. Like every car spot is got to make money.
Yeah.
We've got 13 hoists.
Wow,
and
really?
they're all full.
Wow.
Yeah,
all the
13
time.
hoists.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We need to come down and check your place out, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds unreal.
Yeah, so it's 2 factories side by side, 13 hoists, 2 dynos, fab room, engine assembly room.
I saw the engine room on the thing before. It's nice. Like everything's like brand new.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
We try and reflect what we do, and it shows with what we expect. You know what I mean? The same thing.
Yeah. So, a lot of the time we ask guests like, how did you, like, obviously you're car guys and like obviously you couldn't afford Lambos for your whole life. Mm-hmm. How did you kind of like engineer your life to be able to, I think we missed the website, but how did you kind of engineer your life to like be able to be in the driver's seat and own like top tier vehicles?
You have to be obsessed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just time. You have to love what you do. We genuinely love it.
Yeah.
And it's something you build up to. Like, we all start. I started with Falcons. Like, that was my bread and butter. Well, before that, I'm actually a carpenter by trade.
Yeah.
That funded me starting a workshop when I sold that business and moved into coming on with Aaron, as in...
Probably should give him a bit of a rundown of how it started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How precision started.
Yeah. So we both had separate companies. Like I said, I focused on Falcons, Commodores, things like that.
Like F6s and Typhoons and stuff like that?
Yeah, correct, yeah. The Barra platform was my specialty. Started doing cool things with them. Our relationship started when I started hiring his dyno. So I was doing that on the side while being a chippy from home. I do have a background in cars, as in Dad was an engine machinist, on the head machinist.
Yeah.
So I was always there. That's all the passion side of it. And I was corrupt from a young age with cars. So that was always there. But they said, hey, don't go be a mechanic. Do something else with yourself, because mechanics don't get paid very much.
Yeah.
And they were right. Done carpentry and then moved into that. And I got to a point where I was building and tuning that many cars. Like, I'd go and see Aaron to use his dyno like 5 times a week. I'm like, you know what?
That's how I bought the Lambo.
Yeah.
It wasn't. No.
And that sort of it started there. And Aaron's like, hey, you need to get yourself a dyno. Like, what are you doing?
And I'm that kind of person, like, whilst I was getting an income based on leasing out the dyno, which we still do to people now, I'm going to tell you what you need to do, because sometimes people need that little bit of a push
100%.
from the right person, right?
Yep.
If his mate tells him, it's like, well, what do you know? You haven't gone and invested in a dyno. Of course, it's easy for you to say.
Yeah.
But I've got 2.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, you're coming here weekly doing, whatever it is, 5 hires a week. If you're happy to do it and you're going to lock yourself in, like, this is not just on the side and short term because you're over it already, then order it.
Yep.
Dive in, like just look at the end goal and put blinkers on and don't venture out. You've got no option.
Yeah.
Once you lock that order in, put a deposit, you're stuck anyway. You got to make it work.
Got to make it work. Yeah.
And so you did that?
Yeah. So big commitment, dropped, $100,000 on the latest mainline hub dyno back then, 3,000 horsepower.
Were you shitting on 100K? Like fucking...
Yeah, 100%. That was a huge risk, huge investment, huge. And like I said, I still hadn't got into it full time yet.
It's about 100 Falcon tunes, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then I was going to... Aaron was moving to another shop, which is actually our current shop, and I was going to rent his shop, the shop that he was at. And then there was some timeline differences, as in the new shop wasn't ready, and my dyno is ready. I'm like, hey, my dyno's ready. I need somewhere to put it, and you're still there. And there was no, it was just way behind. Council was causing grief, so he let me move in there, like and use a part of it, a corner of the workshop.
Yeah, whilst we're setting up.
Yeah.
So put a hoist up. Well, I had already had the hoist there, so I was like, "Well, put one hoist up. You can work out of there. You put your dyno next to it. You've got a massive amount of room. Whilst I'll continue building down the back, waiting for, I guess, council approvals, and it took 2 years to do the builds. Like
Really?
I was expecting like 6 to 9 months max.
Yeah.
So I mean, you didn't really have to ring me and say, "Hey, the dynos." I knew we're in trouble in terms of timeline.
Yeah.
But I also knew that it wasn't fixable.
Yeah.
Because I knew that I've got the space.
Yeah.
How are we going to go about it?
Yeah. Well, it sounded like it was a good problem in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess Joe moved in there, and that had nothing to do with the fact that we're together now.
Yeah.
I think I sort of started dropping hints. I was flat out. I was also running 2 businesses. I have another company that was what would you say, service based in the pump industry. Right. So that was another source of income, another source of stress, and had a couple of employees with that, and so small business, and I just knew that I couldn't continue or upscale, which is what I was doing by moving as well. It was like 4 or 5 times the size of my current location. And I knew that I couldn't do what I wanted by myself mentally. Not physically, that's fine, but mentally. And also give the level of support and, I guess, quality, just on my own. It's just too much.
Yeah.
And I think Joe already felt that with what he was doing.
Yeah.
And it's like what I was doing was probably times 10 of what he was already doing.
What were you playing with car-wise at that point?
That was probably in the middle of R35, but we're already going fast. So we'd already run 7s by then.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's, well into the R35. And before I'd moved in, the Performante had arrived and gone to Motec.
Oh, wow.
Before I'd moved in.
Yeah. Right.
So, we've been there now nearly 5 years. But I was dropping hints. I was like, oh, when are you going to join the A team? You know what I mean? Like, you're already here. Like, that wasn't a setup. But,
yeah.
And I guess for Joe, you're 30 now, right? He was 25.
Yeah, wow.
So he's like young.
Like, that's a lot of money to drop at 25 on an investment.
Look, I think so luckily for Joe, I'm a very nice person. There was no money to drop, right? I looked at him as a guy that is keen as, awesome person I'd love to work with, and someone who I'd benefit from his expertise, even though it was in different areas. He was in more I call it non-import, so Aussie cars or domestic versus me import. His was like stock ECU tuning. Mine was more aftermarket ECU tuning. I sort of hated the stock ECU stuff apart from R35. And I looked at that and go, I'm not going to get this from anyone. That this is very hard to come by. Someone that is good enough to do it themselves, but then also wants to do it with someone else that I get along with, that has the same values as me, which is work. And we worked out a deal where pretty much no upfront investment, and then it just pays itself off. And then by the time it's done, you've sort of, you got 50-50 kind of thing.
Yeah,
so,
awesome.
And it was fair.
Yeah.
And I think it's just sort of worked to date. So
you haven't killed each other yet, so
no. We know each other. Like, we've got our strong and weak points. I know where, we all, whenever someone's sort of lacking or a little bit, I guess, requiring emotional support, the other person will step up.
Yeah.
So it's a good relationship.
Yeah.
Similar to ours, like I can drive, he can't drive.
So then you drive.
Basically.
So you drift as well.
Oh, yeah.
No. No.
Suzuki carry
he's pulled
around the roundabout.
He's pulled a handbrake once in the wet on a roundabout.
Yeah, and fucked it up.
And He did.
I don't think Higgsy could drift a hovercraft.
To his credit, he did half a wet roundabout, and then he was like, "Look, I'm with you now. I can drive."
DK.
Yeah. So we don't let him drive anything other than a Suzuki Carry.
Yeah.
42 horsepower actually.
Yeah.
As opposed to
Or the tug.
1400.
You got an airport tug over in the other shit.
Yeah, they love to take the piss out of me, but I don't think anyone here actually has ever given me the keys to drive something fun. So
Yeah, intentionally, mate. But yeah, well, we're similar. We're in the same boat. We're in business together in multiple different businesses, and same sort of story.
Yeah.
It's
Your personalities have to complement each other.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, like Aaron said, we've got different strengths and weaknesses.
Yep.
And they complement each other.
Yeah.
How do you get around some of like the more difficult conversations that you got to have?
No, we just have it, and
Just
if we
have it.
don't, Aaron makes it happen.
Yeah. So I'm very
business first.
Yeah.
I'm very quick to make decisions, big decisions, ones that where I feel like maybe Joe would normally go, hang on, we probably should calculate this 10 times before, and then still go, okay, you think. But because he knows or has full trust in what I do and knows I've got invested interest, I think even if it seems irrational, he'd be like, if you say yes, then it's yes.
Yeah.
But we don't ever actually say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
It's
unwritten
known.
word.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you guys leave like work at the fucking door and like
No.
Really?
No.
I wish.
There's a story there.
It's a full
There's a
time.
story there.
It's
Yeah.
full time.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned earlier, you're married to these cars. As soon as you modify them,
Yeah.
and you also develop relationship with these customers.
Yep.
And come to events like we're here in Queensland for a racing event with our customers.
Yep.
But yeah, no, definitely it doesn't end at the door.
I think maybe more so as in like work related things. So if there was a disagreement where you're butting heads, you leave the door, like you lock the shed up, and then you go outside and you're like, all right, let's beer time, mates.
You're still friends.
Oh,
yeah.
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 That happens when we walk downstairs.
Yeah.
I still might kick him down the stairs.
Yeah.
But I'll tell him I'm going
I
to kick
reckon we're
him.
looking
Yeah.
at a mirror image actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely arguments.
But do you tell him you're going to kick him, or do you
Nah.
just do it?
We have arguments for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I get physical,
Yeah.
but I'm
Yeah.
smiling at the same time.
Yeah.
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 So
I
whilst
don't- yeah.
beating him and choking him, I'm smiling.
Yeah. But that's
true, right?
He wishes. Yeah. no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's business though. You gotta have a bit of fun with it.
Yeah, I think I don't think we ever. So Joe's argument is I can tell he's upset, right? Whereas my argument is that I'll physically attack him, but not genuinely
Yeah.
like bash the guy. Like
Just
just he
throw
know
a
that's me.
pencil at him.
Oh,
Or
Shifter.
throw a wrench.
nah, a bit more physical than that.
Yeah.
no.
I don't. The distance doesn't get my anger
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, but we're any disagreement or whatever is like perfectly fixed within, if it's probably minutes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or
And,
maybe
and
a
that's
day.
the way it has to be. You have to
Yeah,
have to
100%.
solve it. Have to
Yeah.
come to a conclusion there and then.
Yeah.
Don't let it drag on.
And typically it's whatever's best for the business, right?
100%. That's always
Because
every time.
Always. Yeah.
Because if you got your ego involved, like
Yeah.
you're going down the wrong track.
Oh, we're usually not fighting about for ourselves.
Yeah.
It's fighting for the best thing,
Yeah.
so that we both benefit from it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's definitely always in, and I never look at anything that he says as it's for him.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what I'm fighting for the best thing for us.
Yeah.
And I know that even when he's emotional, because he gets emotional, I get angry. It's usually for the benefit. Well, always for the benefit of the business.
Yeah.
Or for the customer, or
Yep.
or for our mental health even.
Yeah.
Like it's like no, we need to stop doing this.
Yeah.
So that we stop having to deal with this.
Yep.
And then sometimes I feel like irrational. It's like, hang on, like I understand, but we can't stop everything, otherwise we shut the door.
Yeah.
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 So
We have these same fucking arguments all the time. Like not arguments, but like we're the same
discussions.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. And we're completely different industries.
Yeah. I think that's the life
Yeah.
of
It's what you sign up for, eh?
100%.
You have
Yeah.
to be a good people
What
person.
about some like mental health issues? How do you guys dominate that? Like obviously, when you butt heads at work, do you
No.
guys have a bit of downtime afterwards, or do you go and reflect on anything, or how do you tackle any issues like that?
I think that we support each other when it comes to mental health.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think without each other, I mean, I'm going to talk for myself, but I'm hoping it's the same. I don't cause him issues, but I think without Joe, then I'd be worse off
Yeah.
mentally. Yeah, because he's the first person I ring. I'll go for a walk every morning, and I'm on the phone to him the whole time, and he's on his walk.
Yeah.
And we're probably talking about business.
Yeah.
Or issues or even good things, you know. But I think
the relationship doesn't stop at work. We're friends.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
And that super close, like we're best friends sort of thing, you know what I mean? Like,
I think you've got to be, at that point.
Yeah. So we just discuss everything. There's nothing hidden.
Yeah.
It's all everything's up front and sorted out.
Yeah.
And so what sort of advice would you give someone, Joe? I know you left carpentry and like obviously cars is your passion and carpentry was an income. What I'm making an assumption there. I hope that's correct.
No, that's right. Yeah.
But so what sort of advice would you give someone who's like, you know, working at a job that like they maybe not super passionate about, like it's not their sort of like dream life, you know, from someone who's done it, you know, you've stepped out of carpentry, you're in this precision racing thing now, you guys are obviously making a name for yourselves and doing really well. You know, what sort of advice would you give someone who's in that position right now, working a job that they probably don't really like, but it's paying the bills? How can they sort of take the leap, and what sort of mental state do they need to be in to do that?
You have to be obsessed with what you want to do to be good at it. You know, like I think everybody should be doing something that they love. If you're not, then you're just getting by, or you're just doing your 9-to-5 job just to pay the bills, like you said. If you want to go next level, you need to be obsessed. You need to love it and push for it.
And don't call it a job.
Yeah.
Or work.
Yeah.
We don't have a job or work.
Does it feel like work when you go to work?
No.
Yeah. Like we come here and it's like, fuck, what are we doing today?
Yeah.
Like it's fun, you know?
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like work.
Don't get me wrong, it has its moments.
Oh,
You're like,
for sure.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that dictates that is when we have an irrational customer who has high expectations or expectations that are unrealistic.
Yeah.
So to wait for his order then.
I'll be the easiest customer. It'll turn up on a tow truck. It'll say, give me 2,000. That's it.
And usually that only happens with things that aren't cookie cutter. So with these packages, it's cookie cutter.
Yep.
The customer, you've taken the customer out of it.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
You've bought a product.
This is what you pay for. This is what you get.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's as soon as it becomes, they're starting to modify things, and that's when it's like, okay, well, you know, we go into it feeling like we're all on the same page, and then halfway down the track, either their budget or financial status changes, and that changes their attitude and emotion, and then now we're dealing with a different person.
Yeah.
You know, halfway through it.
Yeah.
And then that changes our mental state, because they're like, oh, now we're married to this guy that's turned into a Fruit Loop.
Yeah.
because of his, you know, his
circumstances.
Issues,
And
we look at every scenario that's turned negative on us, and it's 99% their financial state has changed.
Yeah.
Obviously, it can be their relationship status has changed as well.
Yep.
But that's rarely been the case on all of our scenarios. It's always, and we know because they tell us prior.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I'm going through this, I'm going through that. You know, they hit us up because they're like, oh, you know, I thought I could afford that, but I need to slow down a bit.
Yeah.
And so we know we're getting ready for this. This is not going, and not everyone's like that. Even when people have been in that state, they haven't changed.
Yeah.
Because, but they're usually really good business owners.
Yeah.
So they're used to dealing with, you know, moving things around and having to wait and then used to things coming on all at once, and then they can move, you know, like they're used to that. But just because you own a business doesn't mean you're actually good at that.
Yeah.
So sometimes they get emotional, and then for some reason we cop slack.
Yeah.
And their expectations are raised based on the fact that their affordability changed.
Yeah. But I bet you they change their tune the minute they drive out the driveway.
They do. Yeah, they do. And then they can change back.
Yeah.
Like
It must chuck an interesting dynamic into the whole business, having that warranty thing, like in the customers there, like you said, you're married to them for like 2 years. You know, like
we look at it as a long-term marriage, because after 2 years we don't want you to go anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not
you want the next car. Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of our customers before the 2 years is up, they're already planning another build or have another one. You know, whether it be a different vehicle or the same. Like, let's say that we've done a twin turbo R8. They want a Performante or an STO or, you know, because they're like, oh, I love it, but I just want something newer or whatever it may be.
Yeah. Have you ever turned a customer away, like, because you
100%.
don't want to
100%
get involved in that for so long, you know?
Yeah, you have to.
You can just see the customer. It might
We've
be
turned
a headache.
We've turned them away when their car's in the shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, halfway through.
Yep.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That's not often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a question I've been wanting to ask. If one of these things shits a gearbox, what does that cost? Like if you know, you were mentioning
So
before.
say out of warranty and it's stock gearbox?
Yeah, and you just, old mate's fucked second gear. What does something like that set the customer back?
If you, let's just say that we weren't involved and he was like, I'm going to go change the transmission, you'd probably get one for around 30K.
Yep.
And then a couple of days to install it.
Yep. So brand new, like
No, that's second hand. Yeah.
Second hand.
About 80 grand.
80 grand. Yep.
Yeah. Lambo tax,
Yeah.
Audi tax.
Yeah.
But
So you wouldn't crack it open and then
we'll
put a
build
gear
it.
set in it?
100.
Yeah.
Oh, you'd either put a gear set in it
Yep.
and upgrade it.
Yep.
The gear set retails for around 39 grand.
Yep.
And then plus labor, and then whilst you're doing that, you might do other parts as well.
Might
so you
as
can
well.
easily spend 55K on a trans.
Yep.
So
So
but
take
then
off in
it's
second.
then
Yes.
Well, but I look at it and go 55 grand in the scheme of things, and you've just made it bulletproof.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to go.
100%. Yeah.
But
So this has got the gear set in it, yeah?
Yeah.
Sweet, first gear.
Yeah, 100%.
First gear
Yeah.
hits. That's it. But we would just, in that circumstance, let's just say we've got a car that's, it's 3-4 years old, it's out of warranty, they've done that and hurt second gear.
Yep.
We'd pull it apart and put a second gear in.
Yep.
Replace whatever's broken, because we've got OE stuff laying around everywhere because we've built so many trans.
Yeah, true.
So we'll just bang those parts in it, and all you're doing is paying for labour, and you're on your bike
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, sweet.
There are certain things that are non-replaceable because you can't buy components from.
Yeah, right.
So like synchros or the sliders or
Really? They
forks.
won't sell them to you.
You can't. Yeah, you can't buy.
There's
them.
no part number for it. Yeah.
Oh,
Italians.
cheeky.
Yeah.
Nice.
So you try not to.
So
You avoid hurting it if you can.
Yeah, the part number's the gearbox part number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Assembly.
Wow.
Yeah, you can get valve bodies and filters, and that's it.
Yeah.
Essentially.
What is Lamborghini like to deal with? Because I've been watching the DDE guys, and they're trying to get that bloody McLaren sorted, the GT-R that they've, got rear-ended, and they've had a whole bunch of suspension issues and airbag issues. They won't touch it. Like, is Lamborghini similar? Like, if there's like a recall on a car that has a bunch of your gear on it, will they work on it?
We have had a customer with an OE fault that would have been easier for Lambo to sort out rather than us. So we said to the customer, hey, send it back to Lambo. It's not our issue. Like, there's something going on. I've proven it. Even though I know that it's not our issue, I've proven it by putting it, like making it an OE running car with factory CUs.
Yep.
Take the car back to them as it is, like turbocharged with everything. They already know it's turbocharged anyway.
Yeah.
So, and get them to sort it out. And it's out of warranty anyway, so he was having to pay them.
Yep.
So they're happy to work on the car. Then it had a starter motor issue on this car as well. And they said, because we got to remove the turbo kit to do the starter motor, we prefer Precision do it.
Yep.
That way we're not touching something that's not OE.
Yep.
And sort of warranting our work on something that's not OE, which I look at that and go, it's understandable.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we done that part of the job for the customer.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I thought they'd just say, nah, blacklisted, won't touch it.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
they're all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no point being like that, because then they just
Piss a customer off.
piss a customer off. We buy parts off Lambo flat out,
Yeah, I bet.
so you don't want to hurt us.
Yep.
Yeah.
We don't take their business. Like, we're not flat out doing OE servicing.
No.
It's not like, they sell the cars and now they've got to shut down their service center because we're doing it all.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
No.
Yeah.
So I guess we're doing something that they can't provide anyway. Of course, I mean, I know a couple of the mechanics are like, this is sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
the mechanics in
we're
the
not
workshop
allowed
be
to like
this
it.
is
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to like it. It's frowned upon, but this is sick.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But on paper, it is red flagged.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
it's that car for warranty would be difficult to get certain things.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, but I think if their window motor failed and
Yep.
it's a car that's only 2 years old or 1 year old and it's under warranty, if they said, nah, sorry, it's not under warranty because of the turbo kit, I would ring them up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And have that conversation.
Yeah.
Because it's obviously nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
What
That's handy.
what do you how do you go about like getting you got a few staff, or is it just you guys at the shop?
no.
You
we
got
have
heaps.
stuff.
Yeah,
Had a
16
team.
horse.
Yeah.
13 hoists, yeah. I think there's 8 or 9. Eight?
I think there's nine of us all together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
do you train from like mechanic level, or do you get people who are like already highly competent in tuning and performance modification?
So
or?
no tuning. That's Joe and I only.
Yeah.
That's it's one of those things that we don't really train.
Yeah, the liability standpoint is not worth it.
Yeah, there's a few things. There's IP as well. That's a massive thing.
Yeah,
IP is massive. I think
we've had apprentices and we've had trainees and whatever, and it's something that we probably won't do anymore. It's just, it's too hard. And this generation of youth is not the same. They don't have the drive. They don't have the passion. They don't have it.
And you need a very specific tradesperson to do that type of install.
And do you know what? Even when we do have those, younger guys, they're not touching those cars.
I bet. Yeah.
Luckily, because we do a great range of cars, whether it's Evos, we still do a lot of the Falcon tuning, like cookie cutter, day in, day out, all that kind of stuff. That's where they start.
Yep.
It'll take even a highly experienced tech that's come from a really, really good place when he's not going on that car. We're using the guys that have been building those for 2 years.
Yeah.
They need to prove themselves first. That could be 6 months, and then they don't do a big job if they're touching that car. They might start with one that we've done a package on. They might do the oil change and service, and then we'll go like that. They start learning those things, and these are fully qualified techs. And I'm telling you, I'm teaching them how to do a service. Yeah, not me personally teaching, but one of the techs that knows our packages and the cars. So I think that's how controlling we are when it comes to that stuff.
That's good. So you guys do engine building inside the shop too? Obviously you got an engine room. Do you do any machining on site?
So not for engines.
Not engine machining, no.
So you just final assembly?
But we do machining at the shop, but for fabrication.
Yeah, sure.
So we've got machines there, but for engines, there's no engine machining. Yeah, that's the only thing that's outsourced in the whole shop. Yeah. Powder coating's in-house.
Oh, really?
Everything.
Wow. Yeah. An engine machine shop's a massive investment, and you're probably not doing enough to
It's a specialty,
Yeah, you need someone with years of experience.
Even if you had the money, find the people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Can't. If there was a heap of tradesmen that you could just get, I'd make up next door.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that is our only gripe with building engines for cars. It's the time that it takes at the machine shop.
Yeah.
And when we have a pretty good relationship with our machine shop, to the point where probably can't say that, but because other workshops get upset, but we give them things organised.
Yep.
Whereas other shops will drop off a head and then next week drop off the valves for it next week, and that just turns them off. They're like, obviously it wasn't a rush for you. You just want to get out of your shop. So that's not going to be a rush for me. It's sitting there for a month. Whereas we're like, here's everything
you need.
I need it within, say 3 weeks. I know it's 2 days work. Is that possible? We can lock in this date. I'll put it in the calendar. I lock it in. And it gives them, instead of just waiting, and then 3 weeks pass, like, have you touched it yet? We try and set dates. Yeah. And sometimes they go over because they leave it to the last minute, and then that day they couldn't get on it. Yeah. But we just try and be a bit more professional compared to every other shop that just drops stuff off.
That's a big thing in like trades and services types of businesses. Is like people having the general like corporate admin type skills like scheduling, calendar management, email management, accounting, all of that type of stuff. Yeah. Did you guys find that was like a steep curve when you sort of came out of like being a tradie and being a business person, or
not for me?
Sort of hit the ground running.
Well, yeah, we essentially done it all of ourselves prior anyway. So we were then getting people in just to help take that load off of us and do it better. Like when I was on my own tuning and doing it, I was literally doing everything. Including answering the phone. So I'd walk around with my AirPods in, whatever,
banging nails in on the job site. Really?
This is when I was doing the mechanical stuff or the tuning full time.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
So doing the invoices, the quotes, the accounting, the mechanical, the tuning, the engines, the transmissions. Wow. It was like full on. So and Aaron was the same. Bringing people in to do certain things. Like we've got Ricky in the office. He handles all the phone calls, the walk-ins, and then all the techs on the ground are all specialists in what they do. And we've got the fabricator. And his job is fab constantly. He's flat out.
I think we look at things that we can improve daily when it comes to organisation and being ahead of the game in terms of that. And we look at things that are unfixable because things pop up that like when it comes to organisation, having jobs ready and scheduled and parts ready and whatnot, and then something will have failed in that production line, that can't go together right now because of this. And and then I look at it and go, you know, that we're being that picky on how to stop this from happening, which is great. But when you compare it to any other shop, they've got nothing in place, nothing in place. But that's a personality thing. I'm very structured. Like I'll write things down, and my notes are flat out when I'm trying to look it through my notes, because I write things down on a weekend when it's not even anything to do with work. Things I've got to do. You know what I mean? So I'm very structured, and I think Joe's the same. Like it's a personality trait, having that structure.
Yeah. So I think you have to be. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we drop off engines to machine shop, it goes into the same sort of ball. And I feel like if I let that go, or if we let that go by dropping off a heap of engines and then just going, oh, that job's done in our head. Yep. And then I call them, and I know full well that they haven't done that structure. They haven't got notes down. That's why I'm like, okay, I'm going to we'll drop it off, but then I'm going to call the guy and I'm going to go through each engine and I'm going to put dates in my notes next to each one. So that at least and he writes down the dates too. So then I know that there's some sort of structure there, and would be the only shop that does it. Yeah, wow. Yeah. And all the others, at the end of the day, all the others don't have any deadlines. Well, they do maybe for race events, but not on paper.
Yeah. There's nothing worse than you go to the mechanic and you go to the counter and you see a scribble pad and it's just got shit scribbled all over it, and you're like, when am I getting my car back?
Yeah, we try and be up to date with all the latest tech and stuff like that as well. So we've got like an app for the techs, and so Ricky will do a job sheet. Instead of having an actual written job sheet, it's an electronic. So he does it all on the computer, and all the boys have access to it on an app. So each car's in there.
They know where they're at all the time.
100%. And so they're updating. They do their time keep in there. So log how long everything is taking.
Awesome. That's good data for you guys.
Yeah, 100%.
Figure out who needs
even on quoted cookie cutter packages, we know how many hours were spent doing what, and if it's like, oh, what was the hold up? Like that's 8 hours to do what I think should be 3 hours. Yeah. And then you see what they've done, and ideally, well, they're supposed to write if there's a hold up, hey, like this took an extra because of this scenario.
Unforeseen,
Yeah, and if they don't write that, I ring them and go, hey, what happened like to this 3 hour job that took 8? Yep. And then they'll be like, oh, this happened. It's like, well, it's not in the base camp. Yep. You need to write it.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
Which they can add pictures and stuff. So if there is issues, or if Ricky, the office, needs to contact the customer, it's all there and available to him just to call it. Yeah. Try and make it as seamless as possible. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we can't make seamless because it's modifying cars and custom and whatever. Yeah. But you want it to run as smoothly as possible for everyone. It benefits everyone, not only us, the customer. Try and make it run like McDonald's is the goal.
You guys kind of sound like the closest to a aftermarket manufacturing facility that I've heard of in Australia.
Yeah. That's why I say it's not, whilst it looks custom, and it is custom, it's not. It's cookie cutter. Yeah. Jigs, if we lose an employee, we can get another employee and go, right,
plug them in.
Essentially. Yeah. Not as easy as McDonald's. Yeah. But things are labeled, things that we've got photos, we've got notes.
Yeah, right. So you've got like a manual to install a kit like that for your staff.
Yeah, because we export.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, you can do that.
Yeah. Wow. So you have all manuals done, like
not for everything, but like specifically
for the V10 package.
I was going to ask that. Really? With everything you export, do you deal closely with the workshops that are going to be
100%. Yeah. So the inner chiller kit's full instructions. Yeah. Wow. Photos, everything. Yeah.
Do you like
turbo kits, everything?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Going back to that kit just quickly, do you chill any of the other fluids like fuel or anything like that?
No. Not required. I know there is. You can get fuel coolers and whatnot. Yeah. But on this, there's no need. No need. Okay. It doesn't run. It's not like it has 3 pumps running flat out or anything like that.
That was an issue I used to have in the drift car. Like the fuel was like boiling. Yeah. But like you said, we had 3 044s and a lift pump and and it was just
fuel boils at like 48 degrees Celsius.
Yeah. It was like fucking cranking.
Yeah. So that's a problem in itself. That kind of setup. Yeah. But how long? That's some time ago, right?
That was, yeah. That was, I want to say 2009. Yeah. Yeah, so, wow.
He's gotten a bit greyer since then.
Oh, fuck, you can talk.
Santa Claus over
32, looking bloody 52.
But,
yeah.
Hey, what's they like the greys, by the way.
They do, mate. They do.
Yeah, the blokes do, yeah.
The flanges.
The European flanges. What's so you guys obviously been to like a fair few drags and roll racing and stuff like that and been involved in like the motorsport scene. What's like some of the craziest experiences that you've seen, or like accidents, or shit that you've seen at the drags?
Shit.
We might as well touch on the accident one of our customers had.
Yeah, so
seems fitting.
One of the Stage 4 Huracans hit the wall at Sydney Roll Racing, white car.
That was just recent. That recent, wasn't it?
It's about 12 months.
Yeah, about a year ago now, maybe. Yeah.
Stage 4. What's that? Like
2000.
That's 2000 setup.
Oh, that's a big boy car.
And look, that was all combination. I think mainly inexperience. So it wasn't actually the owner driving it; it was his mate.
You're kidding.
First time driving.
First time driving it, jumped in the car, and
oh my God.
As much as we try and make these things drive themselves, or as little input as possible from the driver, it's like
it's still a 2,000 horsepower car.
So the issue with that was it was turning the tires from the get go, not savagely. It was turning them like it wasn't creating smoke, but you could see it in the log: first, second, third, fourth, and it clicked fifth. And the wheel speed went from 200 k's to like 280 k's instantly, and it turned right straight into the wall.
Shit.
Luckily, the driver was
perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Yep. No injuries at all.
And all the turbo kit and everything was good. Like gearbox, everything was good. Yeah. Apart from the exhaust.
Yeah. So it went front in to start, obviously.
Front right went in, I think.
Yeah, and then flipped around straight away, and then rear.
So it's just suspension and then cosmetic car stuff. Was it
cars
cars done?
Yeah, cars.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, but driver's fine, and we're able to save everything from it.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. There.
There's the rear hit. Yeah. So he's flying. But the driver was good, like you said, and we've already built a new one for the guy. For the
really?
Yeah.
Cool. So you salvaged some of the old parts and just
pretty much the whole kit apart from exhaust. There was a few things that needed rework, like we recoated the intercoolers and stuff like that because things moved and got scratched up.
Yeah.
I think we put new blow-off valves because just scratches. They could have worked, but if it was a 2022 or 21 Evo Huracan.
Yeah.
So want it immaculate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not give him secondhand kit.
That's pretty. That's pretty crazy though.
Yeah, that's mental.
But I think that's probably the only one.
And worth mentioning. Luckily, the relationship between them two were quite good. So
still good.
Yeah. Still good. You just won't let him drive it again.
Why didn't he drive it? Was he just not confident?
Do you know
enough?
what? The owner was driving it that whole night and excellent, like good, and it got to the eliminations. He's like. He'd rather not have, I guess, maybe the responsibility of having to win. So he's like, "Oh, you drive it." I've had my fun.
Yeah,
he's not like that either. He's not.
Yeah, really I don't think he would have cared. Yeah,
competitive, but not for himself. More for the car.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. He wanted the car to do well.
Car to do well, and he also put a mate in there that was probably overly confident with minimal experience. Probably hence the confidence.
100%. Do not sell him a kit. If you do, wastegate's open. Or
so we refer to that as the Dunning-Kruger effect, don't we?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've looked that up, but we can Google it and put it on the screen.
I'll have a look.
That applies a lot with our job, and you'll probably once you look into it, apply it to a lot of people as well.
Yeah.
So as their experience increases, their confidence drops.
Yep.
But with lacking experience, their confidence is super high.
Yep.
So you'll find that in everyday life.
Yeah.
But that I feel like was this person at the time. And good guy, I've known him for a while as well.
Yeah.
Just through the industry. And but you can kind of tell he sort of had inflated confidence and we were worried. We were like, oh
yeah, wow.
This is recipe. When you're like that, it's recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Because you feel invincible.
Yep.
Yeah. Were you at the rate? Were you there?
Yeah, we're there. Yeah.
How was the driver like after? Was he shaken up?
He went straight in Ambo to get checked up. So we were just making phone calls, make sure everything was good. And obviously we went straight to the owner and we were sort of comforting him a bit. And he was fine. He was like, mate, as long as he's all right. Like, who cares about it? It's metal,
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, oh my God, that's life-changing. Like, what are you talking about?
No, not for a guy that owns that car.
Nah, and kind of. Everyone thinks that, if you've got a Lambo, then you've got multi. But sometimes people put everything into what they own.
I guess,
right?
true. Yeah.
They got to start somewhere.
Yep.
And no one wants to lose $500,000, no matter what you've got.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think he was more just concerned about his mate.
Yeah.
And knew that everything was replaceable, and his attitude didn't change towards that at all. He just wanted to hurry up and get the kit back on his new car. And we're like. Yeah. So that's what we do.
So touching on like the driving aspect of this, like obviously you've got serious amount of horsepower. Do you guys like do any like training with any of the drivers before you hand it over? Because like they're pretty wild car to drive if you've not driven something with power.
Typically,
before.
I'll take him for a drive.
Yep.
I'll drive, show him what it can do, like turned up.
Yep.
And give him the spiel about temperatures and tire temp is the big one.
Yep.
People sort of start it up and go out on the road and expect it to grip like it would when it's warm. It's not going to.
Yep.
Even factory
stock car,
even factory, they're junk like that. So you need to turn. You need to let everything warm up. I give them the spiel and give them a hit, and it's actually funny. Their reactions are it's always the same. It's always like a
kid in a
giggle,
candy store.
like it's a giggle, smile, and then speechless,
and a bit of poo,
and then after, and then after it's like holy shit! Like I didn't expect that. It's a genuine. Like I can't explain the feeling. And
you should just GoPro this and just make.
I know we need to start doing that.
Oh, bro,
we've been saying that.
The reels out of that.
Yeah. Because the reactions would be priceless. Because it's all the same. It's so
funny.
It
first drive reactions,
and it doesn't matter whether it's doesn't matter whether it's a seasoned racer or if it's somebody that's never been in a fast car. They all have the same reaction. Yeah. It's hilarious.
Wow.
Even when we're doing our road testing, because every car that we do, we road test as well after dyno and it gets final assembly and whatnot. Even if it's 1150 horsepower car, like I'm driving because I don't do passenger, so Joe's passenger.
Yep.
And and we just look at each other after a hit and we're just like, this is dumb. Yeah. Either that or if it's a real fast car, this is dumb and one day we're going to jail, you know? Like, No, but we do testing on racetracks only.
Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm. Yeah, drive to the racetrack and then give it a hit.
Yeah. We hire it for a day and do all our testing like that. But obviously we have to do those things and we hate that part of the job.
It's probably the highest liability point of the build. Like
massive.
If something goes wrong, God forbid, you put it into a wall. Like
and not even I'm not even worried about me though.
Yeah,
I'm worried about someone else.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
that can happen. Like we will actually. We brought this up the other day. We're doing a road test and cruising at 40 k's in a 50k zone, and for some reason this ute pulled out. No, didn't even pull out.
No, he
continued across the road that we were driving on, which was like we were like sort of on a crest, and he come across at like 70 k's an hour, and he was probably 40 meters in front of us.
He obviously didn't realize it was a cross street.
And a stop sign.
So he went straight through.
Bomb through it.
Yeah.
Shit.
And we're like 40 k's and 40 meters. So I reckon what's that? Maybe 3 seconds out from being side impact, and I would have died.
Yeah,
because it was on my side.
Yeah.
And in a Huracan.
Yeah, on the
there
ground.
was no coming back from that.
No.
No chance. And it was a ute at 70 k's. He was definitely speeding.
Yeah.
And I just looked at him, and the whole test drive, we would like just kept like we'll take him back to that. And I was just like, dude, I'm like in a weird frame of mind.
Yeah.
Of how close that actually could have been.
Yeah.
And with zero control over anything.
Yeah.
So when you say like things can go wrong and you can come unstuck and hit a tree or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
That's not usually my concern. It's usually someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you know your own ability.
And if you are going a bit fast, you've just increased that. You know, they're not expecting that when they pull out. Even if they see you, when someone pulls up and glance, they see the distance.
Yep.
They don't see the speed.
Yeah.
And they go, oh yeah, I've got 8 seconds.
Yep.
I'm going to pull out. They didn't realize we were going a little bit faster than so that's why we use racetracks.
This sort of goes back to the question that Andy was asking before, but like, do you sort of vet the drivers? Let's just say you got a 21-year-old kid that's made all his money on Bitcoin or he's the e-com king, and
that guy yet.
He's just come in and being like, guys, I want the bees knees a package, but he's a noob at driving.
Yeah, we definitely have to vet him and just get the genuine reason. Like for what do you actually want to use a car for?
Yeah.
We can say that you don't need 2,000 horsepower because they don't actually, you can't use it anywhere other than the drag strip.
Yeah.
Like even at roll racing, so with this whole torque management thing, those cars are only seeing like 40% throttle.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Like
literally.
Yeah.
And that's at 280 Ks.
Yeah.
40%.
40%.
Shit.
Wow.
And with not all the boost in it. So it's like they're probably making 1,700.
Yeah. We have the ability to turn it down for them, but it's also the maintenance. So the 2000 package runs a different clutch setup, so it doesn't drive as factory as the stock clutch or as the stage 3 cars. So it's like, do you really want 2,000? It's dumb. They're all dumb.
Yeah.
But like, so's the 1450. It's dumb.
Yeah.
Like,
well, 1,000 horsepower is fucking shitloads of power.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people quite understand. Like, 500 is, you know, like standard now.
Yeah.
1,000's still a shitload of power.
Yeah. So typically in the motorsport industry, you know, you've got the people that come up from different platforms, you know, the Evos, the GT-Rs, and they build up to it. So you normally can tell those type, but then you do get the ones that come in that have never driven a fast car before, and they want it. So that's why we try and give as little driver input as possible, so we control everything. Yeah. But yeah, there of course is a vetting process.
Yep. Yeah. So like on a night, like a drag night for a roll race, will you like tune the car on the night, or just
with these cars up until stage 4, they're all cookie cutter and preset. So we'll have customers that go there with the same setup. They can be racing them for years without. There's no need to plug in, or all of our stuff's wireless, but I say plug in because it's natural.
Yep.
Connect to the car and make any modifications.
Yep.
The only reason we'd be doing that is if they want us to look at a log, or if they're having an issue with something, then we can look at a log and go, oh, okay, I can see what's going on here. The fuel pump is no good, or something like that. But
so just use the skinny pedal to regulate how fast you go.
Yeah, and I mean they do have, you know, if they change modes, they've got different maps. If it's got cruise control, we can set up different boost levels or torque levels. So the R8s come factory with cruise control. The Huracan's option, and they're like a $5,000 option from factory. So a lot of people like, well, I'm not going to drive it interstate, so why have cruise control and put? It's not even the money. It's like it's pointless.
It's useless. Yeah.
I mean, if it was $50, they'd probably do it. So it is the money, I guess. But it's sort of like a pointless cost for what you're going to achieve from factory. So most cars don't come with cruise. I think we've done 3 Huracans that have cruise. Yeah, wow. Out of the whole lot. So yeah, we can use cruise to change map settings, and it comes up on the tacho.
Yep.
The map position, and that changes all your torque settings per gear and boost. So that allows them to dial it in, I guess, for the track if the track's real cold or whatnot. But other than that, it's we
do have some documents. We'll give them it's a 2-page spiel that we've written up that outlines everything that I tell them in the drive anyway. Yep. You know, your temperatures, your tire pressures, all those sort of things.
Sign anything at the end of it?
No, there's no signing. It's really? It's not like that.
Driver instruction.
Yeah.
Because people, especially some of the older guys that, you know, drive these cars, they might not drive one for 3 weeks, or it might be a month between events, and they honestly forget everything apart from how to start it.
And when you say everything, it's pretty much just turn traction control off.
Yeah.
Hey, how do I do that again?
No.
Well, when do I have to do that? Well, what's the process?
Yeah. George. Like everything, they just want to be reminded. So at least if they've got this sheet, it tells them absolutely everything. It's worth mentioning before when you said, you know, vetting them. I guess knowing their experience with cars, do they ride motorbikes, things like that. That happens in general conversation before someone's sort of doing a handover on a big car like that. But we usually know because we've spoken to them throughout the build or even booking it in. Yeah. You know, what else have you got? What have you owned? What's your history like with fast stuff? Yeah. And it's not qualifying them for it because we're going to build it for you regardless.
That's right. Yeah.
But it's more just knowing the person. Yeah. Right? You don't realize how fast you're going until you want to stop. Yeah. And that's you get that.
Truth.
Yeah, that's very motorcycle, right? Yeah. I think if you apply that to this style of car, fast car, that's when you understand that there's a time and place for everything. Yep. Yeah. So that's what we talk about. Yeah. Just be very careful. It will kill you. Yeah. And other people. Yeah. Yeah. And we don't want to be a part of that. No. It's good advertisement, no doubt. Yeah. But not good.
Yeah. Not good for business.
No. Yeah. Well, you'd be surprised.
Yeah. Was there? Are you kind of like referring back to like the car going into the wall? Was that like good advertising? Do you think
it went on the news? Yeah. Yeah. But they didn't say precision racing. But there's not really a big. There's not. It's really only us doing it. So
people just see it. People would see the car and be like, "Oh shit, you can twin turbo a Huracan," and then go and Google that and then find UA.
Yeah. They'd be able to find it somehow. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, look, I don't think there is bad advertising, but we don't want to. We connect, and like you said, like we said before, it's a marriage. Like we're close to the people that drive them. Yep. You never want to see it. Yeah. Like so, we do get like upset, and even when we do road testing or Joe goes out and does road testing, I'm like, we gotta be careful. If I ever lose someone like that through doing a job like that, I'll burn the shop down.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because I'd be that angry and upset.
Yeah, because they're nearly your friend by the time you built the car for them.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's you'd be very upset.
Yeah.
And can you describe the feeling, Aaron? I don't know if this was your first supercar or not. Maybe you had one prior, but can you describe like the feeling of
modifying a supercar?
Well, of acquiring
Fixing
one for
one?
the first time.
Oh, acquiring one. Okay. So I had R35 GT-R. I'm a poor man's supercar. That's going to hurt a few people.
I think it's in the list.
That's the thumbnail right there.
Yeah. It's clickbait, right?
Yeah.
So I had one of those since, I don't even know when I got that. That must have been, I don't even know, but early days. So they were fairly new. No one was really modifying them in Australia. So we're sort of first to hit that, just like we were the Huracan. And from that, at 28, I bought 27, a Gallardo Superleggera. And
nice car.
Yeah, nice car.
Alcantara dash, all that.
Yeah. Carbon everywhere, and it's just awesome car. Love that. That was a 2013 model, and I sold that when I ordered the Performante when I was 30 or 29. I think 29. I'm 35 now. If you go work out the math, but and so that, I guess this was my first brand new one because the Superleggera wasn't brand new. It had 800 k's on the clock, so it was a fairly newish car, but it sat for a few years or something like that. Didn't really get driven, and I guess the feeling of getting a new car, because I also didn't really buy new cars. You know, I think the only new car I'd ever bought was a Hilux.
Yeah,
because like the GT-R I didn't buy brand new. Yeah, oh no, it wasn't. I think they're the poor man's Hilux. Right? I think I had an SR or something
SR5,
like that. No, not even SR5. But the feeling of it, I guess, is a feeling of achievement. And I guess everyone that we deal with would feel that, even if it is an R35 GT-R, that's still an awesome car. Yeah. Back then, I felt that exact same feeling. Just our expectations increase as we get used to the cars that we're driving and complacent, because that happens. Now I'm very complacent with the V10 market. You know, like we've always got plenty in the shop, to the point where we're I guess
we're desensitized.
You get normalized to it. It's just there'll be another Huracan.
Yeah, there'll be 5 Huracans sitting there, and we're just walking past it normally, and somebody walks in and
they're
is
like,
in
what
awe.
Kids are like, holy fuck, what is this?
Or even adults, they're like, what is this? What do you guys do? Like, how'd you get into this? And it's like, want to swap?
Yeah.
How much time you got? It's a long story.
It's So no, it's a good feeling, I guess, and it keeps pushing us to go further and further, and but we're lucky that we get to play with this stuff. Because
what's next for Precision?
As in platform.
Yeah, or
we've still got many years,
anything really. Like
we got many years in the V10 platform.
Well, can you go quicker?
Traction's our problem.
Traction, so we don't need to make more power, we need to make more traction.
So do you guys play with the shocks or anything in them, factory?
We've got a car that's got modified shocks. It was like 25 grand kit.
And did it go quicker?
It seems good so far, but it's early days.
Okay. It's only been out once with that setup. The data seems good. That's a tractive suspension kit, which is fully electronic, controlled. So it definitely improved the traction. But
and it's worth mentioning that was supplied and installed by D&A Autosport, who specialise in suspension only.
Yeah, sure.
So we were like, okay, this is not our expertise, just like everything we do. If we don't specialise in it, we're not going to pretend we know it.
Yeah, cool.
Right? So if you're going to invest 25 grand on suspension, I'm not going to be the one telling you it's going to be better.
Yeah.
Because then when it's not better, it's my suspension.
That's right.
Right? So that's why I'm like, okay, deal with this guy direct. And if he can say it's going to be better, it's now his
deal.
Thing,
he
right?
said it,
I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Apart from happy to be a part of it.
Yeah.
But we're not taking money for it.
So down the drag strip, has he got the same problems? He's still limited by traction?
We got 2 different problems. So dual clutch car, so it doesn't have a converter, so there's no slip, right? We have a lot of weight in the back. That's another problem. So the thing wants to do wheel stands, right? But doesn't want to do wheel stands and then, I guess, hold the front wheels up and glide out of the hole. it wants to hop. So you end up with this kangaroo out of the hole. So that's been a problem. But we also haven't had too much time at the drag strip.
Yeah.
And now, since we've had a heap of cars go to the drag strip and run stupid numbers, even though they're not always us driving them, they're customers, it's been put in place that if it's got our sticker on it, they're not allowed to race.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you can
by who?
By the guys at the track.
The officials,
IHRA.
IHRA officials.
Oh, because I suppose you go sub 10, you need a cage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So none of them. Yeah. They're all
So as soon as they see
not
precision,
tech.
they're like, no.
Well, they told us. So the first thing was don't bring any cars that stop bringing cars that are way too fast because we've had them go 7s or 820 and
And you can only do that one time.
I bet they're stoked with that.
Yeah.
The thing is, yes, you can only do it once before you're kicked out, but they don't want you to. You're not actually allowed to do it
Not
once.
meant
They
to
don't
do
want
it.
you to do it.
Yeah.
If you know that the car's going to be quick, you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
Which is what they say. They're like,
They're like,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
You haven't got a chute, you haven't got a cage.
And we do know because I said to the owner of the GT-R that went 7.9, I'm like, the car will run a 7.9 around 180. It went 7.9, I think 178 or 179. First hit. So we know what it's going to run.
But if it's someone else's car, it's up to them to disclose, isn't it? When they're going to the race.
It is, which is why they're like, if we know it's one of your cars, or if it's got your sticker, or if it's an R35, they're going to question it, or they're going to be like,
let's go back.
Did these boys work on it? Because if it did, it's too quick.
Yeah. Let's go back one step. So what you said is correct. So the second last time we went out, Joe drove, right, and that happened. He's like, never again. And I'm like, all right, well then we just won't. We'll have nothing to do with it. We won't drive. And he's like, well, whatever. Right? We went out, made sure that we didn't drive because we knew that we were going to get a life ban.
Yeah.
Right? Us. So we had nothing to do with it in terms of driving, but we did have a lot to do with it because we were there, right? So I guess we knew that we weren't doing the right thing, and he raced it, and then they're like, okay, well we fixed this problem. No precision cars,
Wow.
unless they're tech.
Yeah.
unless they're tech.
And is that Andra?
IHRA.
IHRA.
IHRA, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So it's
Good problem to have. It means you're doing something.
It just makes it harder with this platform. So the issue with this platform is the carbon and aluminium monocoque.
Yep.
You can't you can't weld in a cage.
Yeah.
And the cage needs to be chromoly.
Yep.
And you can't weld chromoly to aluminium or carbon.
Yep.
So
you need to buy a Super Trofeo.
Yeah, but then even that won't be IHRA approved in terms of where the bars are and things like that. But at least you can weld to it.
Yeah.
But that you'll find that wouldn't be a welded in cage
It's
either.
not.
So as soon as it's a bolt-in cage, doesn't match up with the rules.
Yeah.
So now we're trying to get IHRA on.
Well, they have to think about it because
we have to.
How the fuck can you can't weld, so you need a solution.
Yeah.
they're trying to avoid it. It's been an ongoing thing.
They
want us to get engineers involved.
No, we want to get engineers involved. They haven't told us yet. I'm waiting on them to say, you get engineers involved, you get them to cover it, with their insurance and whatnot, with their spec, and then we'll sign off it. That's what we need to make them say to us. They haven't actually said it yet. I've put the bait out there, and then now, I've just got to hit them up and probe them, and until they say, "Yep, you know what you said is right. Can you do it?"
Yep.
So the owner of this car is doing an R8 at the moment, and he is wanting to go fast on the drag strip as well. So we're using that car to do the cage, and that'll be the first one I think that will end up being approved. That'll be the first one in Australia anyway.
Yeah, wow.
Which might change things for overseas as well, because I know they all blend.
It's the same problem.
They went to NHRA in the US and said, "Oh, what have you guys got in place of these cars running these numbers?" And it's nothing, and they're not allowed to run, but they are.
Yeah,
and back to back.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Over there it happens, so they get away with it. Here we don't
shit.
we can't do anything. Yeah.
We've actually got the owner of that vehicle on, and he said he might even be keen to jump in the chair.
Yeah.
But before he comes in, I know you guys are big into winning. You want to be fast. You want to be fast. You want to be first.
We don't always want to win things.
Yeah.
If it costs us money.
And I saw you got the semicolon on there, Joe. So I know it rings a bell with you, but. We're raising money for the Livin charity. 100% of money goes to Livin. It's a local, I don't know if the boys can pull the website up, but it's a local mental health charity. It's a real grassroots charity as well. So it was founded by two lads on the Gold Coast, and they haven't corporatized. They haven't expanded into a huge charity. They've got maybe 10 facilitators who go around and do talks in schools and do talks in workplaces. And they're extremely, that's the website there. They do some cool merch and stuff as well, but we're affiliated with them, and every session that they run costs $20 per person. So yeah, we're basically trying to run sessions, raise funds to fundraise the sessions that they do, and we've got a little bit of a leaderboard there of donations. So I don't know if you guys wanted to pledge a donation to live in on the call.
Yeah, we can definitely donate.
Yeah, we'll do that. And the guy that's going to take Joe's spot in a second, we're gonna get him to fund it.
He paid for the car though.
Otherwise, in the next build.
Otherwise, I'm going to need to call them.
So what do you reckon? Where can we write Precision Racing on the leaderboard there?
Can we phone a friend?
We can phone a friend. Yeah, that's 100%. A good segue. Do we want to, if
Chris,
we want to chop Chris in?
What's the investment? We'll match you. 2's all right. Okay. All right.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're number 3.
Right, you on 3 then?
Yeah, we'll split it.
It's only 400.
Huh?
It's only 500. Sorry, to take number 2.
What is it?
It's only 500 to take number 2.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
So if you go up another 500,
like a
that'll put you in
tight-ass
slot
then.
number
Jeez.
2.
I feel like a tight ass then. $100 extra. What's that? What? We're gonna have to do some.
He's doing sign language.
We're gonna have to do some cutting here. Oh god! All right, we'll go number 2 then.
Yeah, for 2,500.
Yeah.
Bang bang.
Yeah.
Done deal.
Legends.
Who's number 1?
That's Beckett Group. That's Andy.
I guess.
Yeah.
Can I see the paperwork books?
Yeah, you can actually.
You can actually
set the bar and go from there.
Yeah.
No, you can actually see the books on that.
Yeah, and that's small compared to some of the guys that we've had. At some of the events that we've done.
Well, we haven't written it up here because it was part of the Sunset Run, so it's not really like officially on the leaderboard for the podcast.
Yep.
But the highest one was 25 grand.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Single donation.
Single donation, 25 grand.
Legend. Yeah.
Through the charity auction, so he got an item for that. But he bought an item
Yeah.
for 25 grand, 100%.
Knowing full well that it was
100%
going towards that. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thanks, lads.
No worries.
Appreciate
Thank you.
that. Appreciate the donation. We'll bring Chris on for a little bit. So I don't know if you guys want to rock off. It's paper, scissors, rock. Who wants to stay
That's
on?
all right. I'll step out. I'm fine.
Easy. Thanks, Joe. Jump in the hot seat, Chris.
Thanks for that 2.5 grand, Chris. I just got myself.
Yes.
50 what? 12.
The bill on the next car is going to have another $1,250 added to it.
Miscellaneous.
Yeah. Parts.
Just pull that mic up, Chris.
Sundries.
Probably about 1 inch from your mouth. Should be sweet.
Yeah.
When did you start putting sundries on your invoice, Aaron? $12.50.
That's for all
Miscellaneous nutserts.
that's a dry cleaning for my underpants.
roll cage engineering.
Yes.
So for the viewers, we got Chris Metcalf. I've pronounced that last name
Yes,
correctly.
you
Eh?
have.
Yep. So he's the owner of the perf in the background. He bought it off Aaron. It was already twin turbo when he bought it. Eh?
Yeah, as is.
Yeah. So
I don't know. Did you go through a process when you sold it to me?
What type of process?
Like, is this guy going to be able to drive that?
Did I?
I don't think so.
I
He
think
didn't give a shit. He's
I
like,
think
give
so.
me the money.
Yeah.
All right, so it's worth mentioning though. Sorry.
You're
It's
all right.
worth mentioning though that Chris had already had a Huracan that was twin turbo. I think I started to get into this before we got sidetracked earlier on. He had a twin turbo Huracan already, and it had another kit on it from the US.
Oh, this is that one.
Right. So, and we were approached by the dealer who sold it to him to make the car saleable because it was purchased from interstate, Melbourne. We're in Sydney, New South Wales. So we were approached by the dealer to make the car saleable. He's like, look, I don't want to do what you normally do, which is rip the kit off, start again. It's 100 grand. I bought the car. I'm happy to spend the money to make it right in terms of make it run and drive nice because it was that bad to drive. No one will buy it. And we spent some time on it. We converted it a few things to make it work, and it did drive nice in the end, didn't it, Chris?
Yeah.
And I think it was a 2016, 17?
16.
Yeah, black Huracan, LP 610.
1,050, I think.
Made 1,050. And yeah, like the car was good, enough to sell, but it had, we were opposing it because it had an American kit on it, and the kit was rubbish.
Yeah.
compared to our standard, right? And nothing to do with the workshop in Melbourne that fitted it. They just fitted what was supplied, and the customer chose it based on internet searches, and probably thought it was cheaper, and it wasn't. Anyway, so Chris bought it, loved it. How long do you have the car for, Chris?
Probably 6 months.
6 months. 6 months, and I think
You'd planted the seed straight away, though.
with my car.
Yeah.
No.
I bought it, and I think it was having some issues. So I said, can we fix this? And you were like, oh, I might be selling my green Performante. There's a seed planted, and away it went.
Yeah, I think. Look, I don't want to make it sound like I was a salesman straight up. I think I was like, hey, just so you know, we didn't build this car, right? I can support it because the dealer gave him our details, and I'm happy to help. But everything I was logging in for wasn't our stuff. It was to find faults, mechanical faults, to do with the upgrade.
I think that in that process of fixing those problems, it put faith in buying a car off Aaron.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like, if I can get this service, then I want to have a car with them.
Yeah. Remote support. It's usually after hours because it's to suit the person that's working as well.
Yep.
I don't think it was always after hours, but we're there to support. I know I knew that wasn't our kit. And this is why we don't normally go and support a car that's not our car, because then it ends up in this position. But different when I know the dealer, like if Chris had purchased the kit from the US and got it fitted by a mechanic and then came to us and said, can you fix my stuff? No.
Yeah.
I'd be like, that's what you get for going that route.
Yep.
Right. But in this scenario where the dealer bought a car and has to sell it, he's happy to spend the money to make it work. So it's saleable and it's a close dealer to us. I'm not going to let him lose $100,000 on a car. So I'm like, I need to make it saleable for the guy, knowing full well that the new owner will end up being a customer 100% because he's buying the car because what it is. He didn't make the silly decision of buying the kit. So that's why I was happy to support it. And I also knew that, hang on, this guy's gone and spent $500,000. I'm not going to let him be on his own. Yeah. I know full well he's going to need us, right? That's just obvious. So I'm going to support the guy. So when he had a couple of issues, mechanical issues, and obviously these days with diagnostics and things like that, you need to be able to log in and see those, electronically to work out the mechanical fault, even if that means that there's a leak, but you can see vacuum differences per bank. Yep. We've got sensors everywhere.
Yep.
Or fuel pressure and things like that. It meant that I had to do it. So I guess giving him the faith that we're there to support, then it's a no-brainer in thinking, I'm not going to buy a dud car and then I'm on my own. I've essentially supported something that wasn't even ours. But we ended up doing a deal with the car and traded it in.
Yep. Cool.
And that
did you put your kit on that car?
Of course.
Yeah.
Right. So we traded it in, exported the junk kit back to the US. Let's be real. No, was it junk?
Oh, look, the quality was 10 to none.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, but to be fair though, the average Joe that's not a mechanic that's buying a kit online is not going to know
You won't
good
be
from
able to
bad.
compare it. No.
There's a shiny picture and a shiny picture. The customer goes, oh well, this one's a little bit cheaper. I'm going to go with that because it's still going to be
And
good.
it's not even cheaper.
No.
Well, there
by
you
the
go.
time you
Not even
pay
cheaper.
for intercooler,
Yeah,
fuel
in a
system,
chiller.
all this
yeah.
shit,
Yeah, and then labour. I guess when you look at our packages, we've got packages that are drive-in, drive-out. So when someone's Googling turbo kit, they're not looking at driving, they're looking at it as in a cardboard box.
Yeah.
For some reason, they end up always going to the drive-in, drive-out, comparing that with a kit. But we've got the kit pricing as well, right? And it does have in a chiller as well, whereas theirs don't. And without fuel system. So they can see comparison pricing. Another thing is, and we sort of fixed that, I guess, with international, is we have tax, right?
Yeah.
But we've got it. So if they change the dollar from Aussie dollars to US or whatever it may be, pounds, it gets rid of the GST. So there was that problem as well, because we've seen on posts and things like that in social media, people would screenshot and be like, 55,000 Aussie, that's this much American. And it's like, hang on, there's 10% on that.
Yep.
And
then import duties.
Click US dollars and then actually look at it there.
Yep.
Like that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
So ended up selling the kit, exported it, which was fantastic because I didn't want it in the country. If it's in the country, the next guy's getting it.
Yeah, it's going to be your problem again at some point.
Either our problem or our loss of sale.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So my idea was trade the car in, got him in the car. He's not going to go spend, $800 plus K for this car because that's what it's worth, as well as having the one that's 500. So trade that car in, make it easy to transition. We sell the kit, we do our kit, and sell the car. So now we fix 2 problems. And we did it quickly, eh? I think we had the car for maybe, don't quote me, maybe 4 to 6 weeks. And it was sold.
Did you drive it? Like, did you drive it after the new kit went on it? Never.
No, we treated it like a customer car. At that point, so we done all of our work, road tested it. I think I got it detailed, and the plates hadn't gone on, and the customer, the new owner came and looked at it, and the plates went on for the first test drive for him.
Wow.
So
was the car butchered at all? Because I know you say your kits, you don't touch the car. Was the car?
It was a little bit.
Front,
So they had the water tank
in the trunk.
So you couldn't use the boot really, essentially.
With hose. But I bought all new factory parts to fix it. I wasn't going to leave with holes.
Yeah,
right.
No way. Now this car reflects us. Do you know what I mean? When I'm advertising this car as, by the way, it
was dodgy. We've kind of fixed it.
And you can warrant it like that's
100%. Yeah. So all the OE parts, that was like, okay, well, this is a cost that isn't normal. But we got to sell the other kit as well. So it all worked out.
And what about you, Chris? You always been in the cars, or?
Yeah, I've always been in the cars.
What, since a young fella, like 12?
Yeah, young fella. Like I was always a Commodore sort of guy.
Had a few HSVs.
Yes, I remember back in the day seeing a Lamborghini. Like I'd never owned a Lamborghini. I was like, that's. So it was never in my mind to own something like that. It's like, Commodore or twin turbo or LS it or or anything like that. So I guess it was a good stepping stone having that black one. And feeling that sort of power, and then you're addicted. It's just a different level of quality of car. Like it's over an engineered car straight off the bat. So and then you go put turbos on it and
make it
tuning, make it dumb. It's addictive.
Don't do LS swaps in the
you don't need to. Don't need to. It can stay.
Make it unreliable.
Don't go like that.
He's here to just upset people.
Oh, well, it's true though. Like we make 2,000, we can't even use it. And they're good for it. Stock crank, daily, stock girdle.
That's what blows my mind. The motor's good for it. Like a 2,000 horsepower LS is like ready to blow its.
No matter what you do.
Exactly.
So no billet block, factory head gaskets at that power level.
Really?
Wow.
Holy shit.
So we get custom head studs made, main studs made by IRP. It's got rods, pistons, valve springs, valves. That's it. No porting. All the factory ports are amazing because they're aspirated. Other shops, well-known shops in the US, will advertise their CNC porting, but it's like, dude, I don't know what you're trying to.
What are you going to get out of it? Especially with the turbocharged car. Like
you're putting boost up anyway. So the only person you're conning is the guy, the customer who has no idea. When we look at it and go, you're talking shit. We're not going to sell you. I could tell Chris, no, we need to CNC port it. It's $7,500. And he'll be like, okay, because he trusts. And I feel like that's
a misuse of trust.
100%.
Only
so how did you get into the scene, Chris? Like, what do you do of yourself to be able to sort of afford cars like that?
So I got a grain transport business.
Nice.
Cutting grain to
road
chickens,
trains
pigs.
And that.
So AB triples.
Yeah.
Export grain down to Brisbane. But once again, that's like my life too. If you don't really like it, like my friends say, you're always on the phone. And that's just part and parcel of life. And
loved being on the phone doing deals.
Essentially.
You say that to me.
But I know how you feel about being on the phone all the time.
No, that's good. At least we're in the same boat.
Do you have, is that a like a Toowoomba thing? Do you reckon? Like I grew up in Toowoomba as well, and
definitely
it's a lot of people are like, it's a truck hub thing. There's so many people who are in transport and freight and grain and agricultural stuff and cattle. Like it's massive.
It's like 30,000 tonne of grain they use on the downs a week.
Yeah, my old man used to work for Grainco. Up there in T-Bar.
So is that a family business, or is that something that you've started?
Well, it is a family business, but I've sort of got my own business. So
great.
I just run my own show, I suppose, so to speak. And I think there was a point in time where I had to either stay with the family business or go make a go of it myself. I sort of was like, I might be getting held back a little bit. So I just sort of took that leap and and it's probably worked out. It's
and you see him without making an assumption, you see him young enough to go on and be able to afford to do that.
Yeah.
Most people that are looking at this are probably thinking, the guy's probably in his late 20s, early 30s or something along those lines, and they want to know how you got into the seat of it. So
yeah, exactly. I think anything you've got to be addicted to it, as you guys have already said. Like trucks is what I know. That's only what I know. I know everything about what I need to do in my job.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've just it's a fine art now.
Yeah. So did you enter the workforce like driving trucks?
No, I think my first job was at Harvey Norman selling TVs.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I love a good TV.
Yeah. What do you think of this one?
Yeah. You'll be on a TV soon, mate, when this goes online.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You've bought a few.
Yes.
And then what? So did you ever drive trucks, or you
no, I drove trucks. Yeah, I think you can't probably own a transport business without actually doing what they're doing.
Yeah,
I think that's like every business, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. You need to know it.
You gotta. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I want to know what do people think when you're driving that around in Toowoomba?
I'd like to see people enjoying it.
Yeah,
it's a pretty famous car in Toowoomba, man. Like, I don't know if you'd check out online. Do you know Trick, the guy from Trick? No. Kyle McCabe from Toowoomba Regional Incorporated Car Club or something?
Oh, yeah, Trick Car Club,
Yeah. So I kind of stay in touch with Kyle a little bit online, like about doing events and stuff like that. And yeah, it's in all the photos like of the car meets that he puts up, and like it's always on Instagram in Toowoomba. And even Lachlan Brown was like, "Oh yeah, that car's like sick. It's from T-Bar, like T-Bar repping."
Yeah, 100%. No, I think, but getting back to the enjoying it, like people in Toowoomba probably don't get to see stuff like that very often, and it's good to drive around. There's kids taking photos and clapping out the window, and the dads filming them.
Yeah,
like giving it a thumbs up. But even at roll racing, like have the kids jump in the car.
Yeah. That's the best bit about cars like that. Hey, the reactions they get,
smiles.
Yeah.
You're making people
Smiles
happy.
By yelling.
For free.
100%.
Kind of.
Free.
People don't get to like I guess I don't do joyride, so to speak. But
so we're not doing that this afternoon.
No. We're on a time frame now. I think Gus is like, let's go.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, we have extended a bit.
So we have gone a bit over. Yeah, let's wrap her up.
You can leave quickly though.
Yes, exactly.
Tell her about Gus.
Cool. We'll take the cue. But yeah, appreciate you donating, Chris, because it sounds like it's mostly you.
I've been conned into it.
Nah, we're fair.
It's for a good cause.
Yeah.
But
really
it definitely is. Yeah.
We appreciate your time too.
Yeah, appreciate you guys bringing the car down, and I know you've come all the way from down south, so and I appreciate everyone getting in the schedule. So
cool.
We'll have to catch up too at World Time Attack. We're going to be down there filming, so we'll come and say good day and see
maybe
if
we can use that as an excuse to come and check out the shop.
Yeah, definitely make a weekend of it.
Yeah. So you've got a couple cars running in there.
Yeah. Well, there's a Performante in there.
Yep.
Purple one.
Yep.
So that makes plenty of power. So you'll be able to see that. A lot of that, like I think Joe mentioned before, a lot of the cars aren't caged and suitable for that sort of CAMS approval.
Sure.
With this car, we got it approved to run like a harness bar.
Oh yeah.
So that we can run a harness and suit the guy up and whatnot.
Yep.
And it's been approved because of the car being a different monocoque.
Yep.
And yeah, we're just running that one car. Not everyone wants to go and spend the money to do that.
Yeah.
You know? And
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So and it's sort of most of these cars are street cars. Well, all of them are street cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this car, one off, we'll take it. And it's cool for the fans, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Who gets to see a 2,000 horsepower Lambo?
Yeah, can't wait to see it.
Yeah,
that's going to be epic.
Ball terror, eh?
Yeah.
Well, that's why the R8 needs to be done, I think.
Yeah.
Which one?
Just get it down the drag strip.
Your one. Yeah, we're going to do it. It's going to happen.
What do you got at V10 Plus?
I don't know what it'll be.
Yeah, it's a 10 plus. You don't even know what you bought.
Well, it was just, let's do it. I think when you're going to that extent with the car.
I think I dropped a few things, like the way I sold my car.
Yeah.
Chris, you got to buy this. Have you transferred the money yet, Chris?
Not too easy.
For him, run.
Thanks, everyone.
All
Supercar Stories signing off. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.